Hello and welcome everybody to Champions of the Fog, brought to you on a different channel today. Nonetheless, we are in our semi-finals of the Women's World Cup, Team Brazil versus Team Finland. I am Cyber, joined today by the wonderful Jazz on the cast, and we are in set one of Oni on Coal Tower. Jazz, are you excited for today's matchup?
I am so excited, Cyber. You have no idea. It's an amazing opportunity for COTF today. And the fact that we get to see these lovely women competing in the semifinals and Chloe on the Oni. Chloe did such an amazing job on the previous set, so I'm really excited to see what she can do on this Oni set.
Yeah, Chloe has definitely shown a lot of dominance on killer for Brazil here, but so has Finland. Wicca normally been the killer. We see Wicca on Survivor for this one. Is the Survivor's playing a very slow and safe game here. Nixie, Skitter, Wicca, and Zal all positioning very safe, but a mind game around Shaq here might actually end up in a very early tag as we're going for that Shaq pallet. We are going to make it in time to get that drop. Skitter using that resource quite early on as Chloe continues to break that and is going to continue this pursuit onto this filler pallet over near the bottom side. Are we going to play for the mind game here, or are we just going to end up trying to break zone? Looks like we are going for the mind game here, trying to cut off from denying this other pallet. Are we going to swing for this one? No, we are not. Skitter is making this first hit last. This is what needs to happen in the Oni set early on. Denying that first hit for as long as possible is crucial for these early hits. And it looks like now a mind game will finally come through as Skitter will take that first tag of the game.
Yeah, we see a beautiful beginning of a chase from Skitter here. Last thing, we can see Gen progress on the side. We got two Gens, Wicca and Nikki, and we see the first down coming in with a hit through Shack window. And we're gonna see our first hook stage coming in. Are we gonna see a pain res? I think so. We can see a pain res hook here at bottom mid, so we're gonna get our first pain res stack in. And we're gonna see that one Nikki's generator is going to start regressing from the pain res. For those who don't know comp and don't know clock callouts, Nikki there is on what we call on Coal Tower 11. So we're gonna see that 11 gen hit by the pain res, and we did see the fastball come in, and Skitter possibly going to get back in chase here for the tunnel out.
Yeah, but Chloe is on her A game right now. Perfectly counted the 15, waited, knew that we could not commit into Shaq there and just swing through the window because I would have been hitting the base kit borrowed time that we have in play, giving that endurance hit to make some more distance. And that is not our light survivor either. That is the balanced landing survivor. There was no drop from great heights to give us that haste. As now we are finally getting that first power online, and I think an early pop of this as well. Bit of a risky call here by Chloe as we do not have eyes on where any survivors are, but this is still the pressure you want to be having. First gen will be popping at the same time. Applying our pop goes the Weasel that recently got changed to a flat 15% regression compared to the 20% relative to the gen's progress. As Chloe smells the blood in the water, wants these chases, and is going to end up finding Zal wrapping around the TNL, going for the swing, not going to quite be converting as Zal making it over the window scot-free. Are we going to choose to commit to this, or are we just going to go back and defend our basement hook? Looks like defense is the option here, but we don't see any scratch marks, no sign of life on that bottom side of anyone coming in to get that save. As we see Chloe send it up to the top side, but I was mistaken. Wicca is already in the basement and is going to be able to get that unhook pretty much for free. As we see Chloe 180 immediately back. We spot Wicca going for the vault. Going to be end up going for the double vault, but we don't want Wicca. We want Skitter. We want our injured Laura. We want this first elimination of the trial, Chaz.
Yeah, we want to see this first death come in super quick. We want to make this a 3v1 as soon as possible to make sure that that killer gets the pressure, and we are going to see the 3v1 begin at 4 generators, Cyber. 4.
That is so early. Look at these survivors already doubling that top mid-gen. This is a kill a lot earlier than you would ideally want for our survivor team. Chloe must feel right at home right now. Going to be able to get that pop once again, applying that pop and eruption to that top mid-gen just to try to deny any progress they would have. But the game is sort of reset for our survivors here as everyone is healthy. Still a decent bit of resources on the map here, so if they can deny a hit and get a lot of gen progress, they could definitely shift the momentum.
Yeah, definitely. We do find Zal here at main, which I find very interesting that Zal does not have balanced landing while working main gen. Because ideally you want your balanced landing survivor to be on main gen, so they have a very easy, quick getaway without having to take a tag. And we see Chloe does an amazing mind game around the rock, and Zal does go down, and we're gonna get her second survivor hooked for the game. As we can see, there's not a lot of pain res hooks around. We might be able to make this pain res and get the second pain res off. That top middle gen is taking a lot of hits with pop and eruption and pain res, so it's gonna take a little bit of a break here and get another gen. It looked like Shaq gen was hit by pain res, and we're gonna see an early pull come in by Nixie, which is going to be, Chloe does not instantly turn around to go for the tunnel this time. Instead, we're gonna pop the Shaq gen and looks like we're gonna commit to Wicca here. Wicca pre-dropping the pallet, with Chloe popping power, being able to hopefully connect tiles, but Chloe's just gonna break that pallet and go for the demon dash here. We're not gonna see a flick around the corner. Deception! Ooh. Oh my god!
Yeah.
What an amazing deception play by Wicca.
That was insane! Deception is huge there. Normally in Oni sets, you want to try to force lockers. You want to try to force locker to make it to where the Oni cannot slug you, outwalling his power. And it almost paid off huge there. Deception, opening the locker, faking the noise notification, and then getting rid of your scratch marks so Wicca was able to re-stealth. Was game-changing. Nixie, though, is going to end up getting caught out. Chloe able to get their bearings once again, find another survivor, and get that down. I would also like to point out, we've seen a lot of proficiency with these add-ons that are currently being chosen by our killer. We have the Akito's Crutch, which gives you an extra 1 meter per second movement speed to help you try to get those downs faster while you have survivors isolated at pallets or windows. And then you also have the line saying for that bonus 10% duration on your power to possibly give you the opportunity to slug, to possibly get those huge momentum shift powers. So definitely an aggressive choice, and one that I definitely think is paying out for our killer player, as Chloe feels like they are in the driver's seat of this game. 4 gens still remaining, 2 survivors injured, and it looks like we found our next survivor for Chase here, Jazz.
Yeah, we're gonna apply our Pop Goes the Weasel on the Shaq gen here. And we can see there's a lot of blood on the map. Although we have 2 injured survivors right now, so they're constantly just giving out blood orbs for the Oni. So we're gonna see a lot of power coming in and a lot of power hits. This is not ideal for the survivors because you want to try and not give the Oni power as much as possible, as that gives the Oni such mobility around the map. But we can see Nixie here stealthing off in the corner. The Oni not seeing the blood orbs coming out from her at all. And we're going to pop our power and go back to Shaq gen, which we know is progressing quite well.
A lot of pistons pumping there. We know the survivor should be around here somewhere. We don't quite know their stealth location as of yet, as it looks like Wicca opted for the basement locker, trying to gamble that the killer would not come down here and check, and it looks like she is correct, as Chloe is going to end up going towards that top side, trying to find maybe the injured survivors in Zal and Nixie. Wrapping around, we have this tile, we have a dropped filler pallet up here. Chloe going to be checking those corners. We popped that power. We committed that. We need to find the survivor, and it looks like we are going to find some scratch marks here. Where are they going? We need to find them out. It is Claudette. It is Nixie, our injured survivor. But a head-on's going to come through. That could be huge here. We are almost out of our duration of our demon dash. Are we going to make it to this? No, we will not, as a mind game is going to come through. Chloe getting that down at the last second. And Wicca immediately back on that Shaq gen. But our killer has all of the information of survivors' locations right now.
That head-on play was huge. Absolutely huge. Getting a head-on play with Oni and power can actually cause a lot of pressure for survivors because it stuns them out of the... We're doing a little dancey dance on the gen, waiting for our eruption to come back. But yeah, that head-on play was amazing. Unfortunately, we didn't get as much value as we wanted out of it. But we can see Ada immediately popped right back on that Shaq gen, getting that pressure, trying to get the killer to possibly commit to that gen and another chase. We're checking the locker. We might be a little hesitant and a little scared of another head-on play coming in. But our head-on survivor was on hook. So we are going to chase Wicca. An amazing pallet stun from Wicca.
Yeah. That is huge. No injury given there. It's going to allow our killer to not get that power just yet. We do pop that gen. Nixie going to be able to commit to that one, as I think we have our survivor who's Zal going to be stuck at this tile, and a bit of a red stain mind game there is going to catch them out. As Zal on death hook right now getting picked up, will be sent back to the campfire briefly, as our survivors now have to split these gens. But if Chloe can identify that Nixie was the one that popped that topside gen just a couple seconds ago, they might recognize there is a lot of blood pooling up there and a power ready to be grabbed.
Yeah, we can see all the blood pools right here in the middle of the map. Looks like we're possibly going to commit here to Nixie, which I don't think is a bad idea. But we do have our power, so we might pop it and go back down to Shack, knowing that Wicca has been working that Shack gen quite aggressively. So I think, yeah, we can see here Chloe's going to decide to go pressure this Shack gen. We're going to apply our Pop Goes the Weasel to it maybe one last time, unless we can't kick it anymore. It has gone through quite a bit of regression events. If you don't know, gens can only take 8 regression events now, and then you cannot kick it any longer. So we might just be out of kicks, Cyber.
Yeah, quite possibly. It's definitely in a couple eruptions. I haven't been keeping track myself specifically. We do spot Nixie here on the top side, cranking away that top mid gen. Looks like power going to be popped. We're going to commit onto this one. We need to get this down fast if we want to try to make it back in time to stop Wicca from popping the Shack gen. Is power going to be going through the doorway here? We already broke that earlier, so it's going to be some beautiful pathing that gets us that down. We have the duration, and then we want the slug out. We want to try to find Wicca. If Wicca is spotted here and goes down to the power, that is a 4K3, and it looks like Chloe wants to do exactly that as they read the survivor's rotation. Wicca gonna be caught out at the TNL and Demon dash down, as that'll be every survivor on the ground. There is no unbreakable allowed in the set, no plot twist, and no mither in play. So that'll be every survivor gonna be found and picked up shortly, as that is an excellent result here for Chloe with Jazz.
Yeah, Chloe did an amazing job. Chloe's pressure along the whole game was just exactly where she needed it to be. The constant power, the constant blood pools everywhere. I think we might be waiting. No, we're not going to wait for a nice little Oni Moria, unfortunately, in the beautiful bearskin. But that was very well played by Chloe, and I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty tough win con.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. 4K3 is extremely difficult, meaning that you go into your serve side here for Team Brazil with the knowledge that if you just pop 3 generators, you don't have to worry about a 3 gen on the map. All you need to do is just pop 3 and you are away. This is your set to take. We see why they chose it, as there is a lot of proficiency, at least on the killer half of the set. I would also like to point out, we saw a hyper-aggressive build as well. Oni is a killer that before you get that first hit, you are just an M1 killer. The only assistance you can get from this game is Bloodlust. So not opting for any Bamboozle, any Brutal Strength, no Chase perk to really assist you to help you get that first tag. It is going to be the same build, a little bit different add-ons. We did not opt for the Lion's Fang, instead going for the Splintered Hull, but we still have the Aikido's Crutch, the Corrupt Intervention, the Scourge Hook Pain Resonance, Pop Goes the Weasel, and Eruption as our build choice here, Jazz.
Yeah, so we are going to see the same build. It's a pretty standard build for Oni sets. We do see a pretty good Corrupt Intervention for the killer. It is all on the bottom side of the map. So Shack is always the bottom side of the map, and Main is always the top side of the map. And when we were loading in, you could kind of see a 4-gen on the bottom side. We're going to try and swing through the pallet and not get the hit. Isaac, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, going for the pallet drop instead of greeting. Very smart by her and going to take the distance to Shack. The Oni says, I'm going to leave and go pressure my generators if they have crossed the map and started working on them, which we do see 1 to 2 generators do already have progress on them. A good start and an amazing hit out of nowhere from Wicca onto Isaaca. And we're going to see the first chase of the game, dropping that early God pallet in Main. We're going to see the early drop. We're going to play around it. We're going to take our distance to the next tile. Try and play around this filler here. We get a little bit of a possible mind game, but Isaaca wins the 50 on that. Dropping the firecracker, trying to get the blind in, but we did not get the blind. So Wicca still has all eyes on her survivor, and we're going to see the first down come in.
Yeah, but at the cost of what? That first hit came through really early, but we committed M1 onto the back of that one, and we also died over the pallet. So that was enough time for us to double and commit to that top mid-gen. That is the first gen required of 3 for Brazil to take this set. Oni going to be popping power here. We see all our survivors scatter to the wind. Don't get caught. Don't get spotted. As Wicca wants the blood. Is going to go and find Arcade. Is going to get the flicker on the tile beautifully so and get that down to follow up here. But Wicca wants more. We want to go for a slug. We want to find someone else out of position right now. Powering up to top main building. We are going to fatigue. We hear the footsteps up above us. This is going to be Queen Dim, our Nancy Wheeler. We are look like going to commit around this onto the filler pallet, sending it to that corner. Do we make it to this pallet in time? Pre-dropping. No, we do not. Is the pre-drop is going to cost Queen Dim her life. And this is the momentum shift we need. It is just Gallo on his feet. Wrapping around this now. Gallo has to play so slow. If Gallo gets found here before they could rotate to get a pickup, to get an unhook, this could be lights out.
This is huge, Cyber. Gallo cannot be found here at all. Gallo needs to stay hidden. Gallo needs to... Oh, no. I think we might have been found. This is huge for Wicca. We do get the pickup, but it's going to be an instant back down again. And we're going to commit to the chase on Gallo. We only have smash hits, so we don't have any live. We don't have any balance or straight bursts. We're going to see the hit come through, but the unhook. This is not looking good for the survivors, Cyber, at all.
Yeah, definitely not the situation you want to be in here. We were able to get the unhook and get away. Gallo forced locker. We did see Isuka send it away right now. Lara committed to in chase right now. Gallo hops out of that locker we heard. Is going to probably go for the pickups right now. We see Quinn Dim come off the floor. But Isuka keeps screening these pallets, is making Wicca work for everything here. I think we have Bloodlust going to be pre-dropping that pallet. No stun coming through, but we are finally going to get that down. It looks like one of our survivors, I think it is Gallo, rotating for the other pick on Taiza. But that is still every survivor injured. A whole lot of blood on the map for us to play with. And our first dead survivor here. This is definitely still in the cards for Wicca.
Yeah, absolutely. We do see our first kill at 4 gens just like the previous game. But the only difference here is the fact that everybody is injured. There's a lot of blood orbs on the map. There's going to be a lot of power coming in, which can be a lot of pressure for Wicca. I'm on the edge of my seat here. That was an amazing 3 slug at the beginning of the game. And that could have taken the whole game. That was amazing.
Absolutely here. It looks like we are going to find our first survivor of this power right now. Sending it around this window, Jim. Going for a flick at the window. Survivor ended up greeting it. Gallo, not giving it down away just yet. As we see our other 2 survivors, Aiza and Queendom, splitting away those gens. Gallo going to be vaulting over that pallet, but to not, as that'll be our first down of this power. But we use so much of the duration, we aren't playing that Lion's Fang add-on. So not a whole lot left, as we are going to be forced to take a hook. As look, this is what we talked about in that intermission. We do not have a pain res on the bottom side for us to hook on. We aren't going to get any slowdown onto Aiza's gen. That gen shack is going to pop, but we did hook close enough, so we are going to be able to deny it here. Is Oni going to be forced to kick? We use Lythe off the shack pallet, as we are going to go get that unhook while our killer is stuck in shack a little bit longer.
Yeah, that is an unfortunate pain res spawns here. It's exactly what we talked about. And now the survivors probably know, because that was not a pain res hook. They are probably now aware that they do not have any pain res hooks bottom. So they kind of know, even though that generator in shack is almost finished, they know that, taking the chase down to the bottom side of the map, not the pain res, denying that gen question, is going to be huge for them. We're going to find the Nancy up in main. The Nancy's baiting out the drop. Oh, we do see a DC happening. I'm not sure 100% what's happening here. I don't know if it's a connectivity issue with the servers again. We're just going to keep playing it out as is. And we're going to go for the chase on the Nancy. Nancy does not have any god pallets here. We're going to see the down happen. And we do have pain res hooks, so we should be able to get our second pain res of the game. Yeah, we see it right there. Same hook as before that Isuka was on. And you see on the HUD that the V has a lot of progress on that 1 gen, but it's going to get hit by pain res. Shack gen all the way down to just over half.
Yeah. Gallo, once again, the last survivor on their feet. Queendom on hook. Aiza did disconnect here, so that is going to be full hooks and fresh hooks granted for our killer. As Wicca finds Gallo, it is deja vu all over again. Gallo is in chase right now. We need to make another play. Gallo was able to before. Can he strike lightning twice? Wrapping around this failure pallet. It is already pre-drop though, so not a whole lot necessarily here to play. 1 vault going to be used. 2 vault hitting that pallet, +5 wood for our killer, as Wicca knows. Surprised that that did not connect onto the heels of Gallo. Wrap around that pallet now. Playing it safe. Wicca just absorbing those blood orbs. More than happy. Doesn't even want to play the M1 anymore. Is going to instead try to grab the power for the Demon Dash. As now Gallo going to be going for another stun and connecting it. Smash hit going to be used. Vaulting back into the shack. We have a little bit of distance, but it looks like we're instead going to be using it to blind to apply that champion of light, that hinder to our killer with the blind of the flashlight. As Gallo now power popped, seeing the demon behind them. As we have a filler pallet here, but we are going to be greening it possibly. No, coming back, going for the stun, but Wicca not going to give away that to the killer, wrapping once again to the 4-lane tile, but the pallet's in the wrong side, and Wicca has the read. Gallo on the floor, and I think, Jazz, that is a 4K4 and a marvelous game here for Wicca to take the Oni set.
Yeah, that was beautifully played by Wicca. That is our win con of 4K4. Wicca came to play today. That was a very good game played. Unfortunate of the DC. We had a game crash happen. Unfortunately, it does happen. But that was amazing. Gallo, though, with that smash hit play. Smash hit, I'm gonna be honest, is one of my favorite exhaustions. I know, maybe might seem a little weird, but I love it. Playing that 50, getting that stun, and being able to just zoom away to a different tile, I find it so beneficial if you play your tiles right. So seeing that,
as we have the same 4 survivors from Brazil and Isaka, Gallo Fake, Aiza, and Queen Dim, as it looks like we did choose the fresh coffee add-on, but also the handkerchief, so going for a little bit more just comfort, as we're going to be finding a survivor very early on. Queen Dim holding the bottom of main and trying to make sure they didn't get caught out, but some crazy pathing here is going to work out in Wicca's favor, as that'll be a perfectly timed bite here onto our first survivor. Nia going to be injured, taking the chase up top main building here, as we instead are going to be wrapping out, possibly jumping out the back of main building to proc our balance landing, and it looks like we are doing exactly that, as Queendom trying to make it over to the silo stuck in this corner. Isn't going to quite make it, instead dropping into the hole, trying to make it to the underground pallet, but to no avail, as that'll be an early first down for Wicca, as we are looking for a possible pain res hook.
Yeah, trying to make distance with that balance landing, but unfortunately, like we talked about before, the ghoul has such high mobility, was able to quickly cut that distance down and be able to get that down right quick. And I think Queendom's idea of going down into the hole was to be able to possibly not get a pain res hook, but luckily enough for Wicca, there was literally a pain res hook right outside of main. So we are going to see the first pain res hook come in, getting that regression that we talked about that we want to see early, finding the next survivor, getting that beautiful bite right at the last second of that hitbox of the survivor. We're gonna see Isaka in chase. The pull has already come on Queendom, and they have been reset for the people from Gallo.
Yeah, Gallo gonna be eating that injury as we commit onto Isaka here, wrapping around that Orman tile, but not gonna be able to make it quite to that window, as Wicca opting to not tunnel this game. Instead, just going to let the survivors get that heal. Queendom going to be away healthy now. Gallo going to be stuck, injured, and broken for a little bit while longer until that goes away. I think it is 1 minute after you activate your For the People perk that you are stuck broken, that you cannot be healed until that is up. As we have a decent bit of pressure, but no gen popping. We have a couple gens above that 60-70% range, as it looks like Queendom and Gallo were doubling that top main gen. We instead are checking around the shack, though. Maybe going to apply some eruption onto this generator, but Wicca looks like going to hold out and try to find the survivors, and they do exactly that. Aiza going to be found here. Our Sable Ward wrapping shack right now. Going to make it to the pallet. Going to get the bite over top of it, even though we got the drop. Didn't quite break LOS in time to get away from that one. Breaking that shack pallet right now. Is our survivor going to come in the trade, or are we going to just send it away? Looks like sending it away was the choice made here. Is Wicca going to be able to use our vault leaps here to make it around to this, keep the survivor isolated? But no. Actually, Isaac going to be able to make it up and away from this. Instead, cutting off Queendom, coming in for this unhook. I don't think we're going to quite make it in this time without it being a trade here, Jazz. No, we do not.
No, we're gonna see the trade come in, which is so unfortunate. Isla getting that beautiful distance, even though we got the bite over the Shack pallet. Isla still got distance away into another tile, which was huge. Wicca knowing, needing to leave that, needing to get that pressure, seeing the drivers go for the unhook, being able to get that trade, and we see a quick down come in after Isla comes off hook. We're gonna slug. We're gonna choose to see if we can get a little bit more pressure, find maybe another injured survivor, and get that third down. So there's only one survivor remaining up. I think that's a really good play from Wicca, and it seems that we have found our Sable. We have found Isa. Hopefully Isa can make this pallet. We do see the make. We're gonna play the 50 here. We don't unfortunately win it. We vault a little too late. Wicca committing to that side of the pallet, getting the quick down. Gallo, once again, the one and only survivor standing, saving the team, being such a good warrior. We love to see it.
Yeah, Wicca not gonna have to pick here, just still slugging out. We want to try to keep the survivors on the ground, apply as much pressure with that as possible. Gallo gonna be the survivor we do end up finding here around this tile. Has a drop pallet to play, but isn't going to opt to do that. Instead, wrapping around it. Doesn't want to go for the vault animation just yet. We do hear the stun come in, so Gallo going to be losing a little bit of distance off that one. Is now going onto the ground. We are going to choose to pick this one up here, as now it is Queen Dim, the final survivor, on their feet. Pickup will immediately come through onto Isa here, using our balance landing to get to our other survivor, Isaka here, as all three survivors are back standing, but they all are stuck in the same area here around main building, Jazz.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not too many places for them to go other than to the right side of the map. Our lovely ghoul killer Wicca was on the left side of the map. Hook and Gallo getting our third stack of Painteress through. We do see, though, that there's still quite a bit of gen progress on the map, but we are taking the chase towards the one gen that's got a lot of progress. And Wicca noticing that and seeing the scratch marks from Isa, deciding to slug and continue to go for that next down, and I think we're gonna see it come in. Oh, we said we're gonna swing straight through the stairs. What an amazing swing and down from Wicca.
Yeah, gonna be using our last Painless here on Isa to get that maximum regression that we can. We do see Gallo gets pulled off that hook because before the people earlier, we have our second wind available to us a little bit longer, and we are going to be fully healed. We are going to be able to get that one through, but a tag immediately going to be taken right after. Gallo making some decent distance here, has the silo pallet to play. Are we going to go for rapid, or are we going to go on the outside? Looks like outside was the option here, as Gallo going to be isolated, stuck, zoned, and now going to be going for the grab out of the locker. Not going to be making any distance to anything but the decisive strike. Gallo is our decisive strike survivor. Going to be stunning the killer off their shoulder and making it to that bottom underground pallet that we didn't use earlier. We don't have anything else to play. We saw Smash It last game. Gallo is on life this game. So is it going to have anything to help them for the stun here? Going for the swing, but is still going to get that stun and make some distance back up into the main building stairs. We have the pallet right next to us. Normally considered a god pallet, but instead going to just be taking the bite there on the survivor as Gallo. Looks like we're actually going to come in and possibly trade our life away, as getting the unhook onto Aiza and going for the BT hit. And we might see Aiza commit here for the pickup, as we are going to continue to slug Gallo. Do we make it back to this pallet even in time? No, we do not, as Wicca is on fire right now, Jazz.
Wicca is absolutely on fire. Queendom, the last survivor up, but just getting Isaka up right before the ghoul coming down and getting the down onto Queendom. And now we're going to go straight for that down onto Isaka. I'm going to backtrack a little bit. When we saw Gallo not drop that pallet in main when they took the bite, they decided to take their distance versus dropping that pallet and getting a stun, which is the, in my opinion, correct play. You want to get your distance. You want to waste time as much as possible. And we're going to see a 4K3 come in from Wicca. Very well played.
Yeah.
She must be feeling on top right now.
Yeah, Wicca played exceptionally, knowing exactly when to slug the survivor, when to take the hook and take the Painter's regression, when to go for another survivor, when to switch targets, where to find the rotations as they were happening. We saw that stealth. I think it was Aiza around Shack. Wicca was persistent in searching and inevitably got the find there, as now we are collecting our scraps around the map. We find Gallo. Gallo going to be going onto their hook, and now it is just Aiza. Now, even if Aiza does bleed out, it doesn't matter, as we already have the fresh hook stage, so all future stages would be rewarded as well. Looks like now, though, going to be taking the hook. We are going to find our Sable on the ground is 4K3. Little bit of a deja vu is roles are kind of reversed now going into the set as now it is Brazil and possibly Chloe's turn to have to go for that 4K4 win con.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of a deja vu here. Seeing these 4K3s and 4K4 with the 4K4 win con, those are not easy win cons. But I mean, Wicca pulled it off just fine on the Oni set. So I'm curious to see if we can see the same on the other side from Chloe. I think it'd be very interesting if we can. If these sets are bouncing back and forth just like that, that'll be quite...
But with a different add-on entirely, with the Umbrella add-on, which increases the amount of time a countdown for each perfectly timed grab attack by 10 seconds. So definitely interesting to see how Gallo employs that one, as we did see the Eruption come into play. We didn't go for the pop, but we also have the Ruin in play, so a little bit more passive slowdown, not needing to go and fully commit to kick those generators, as maybe beneficial to us if we can hold that totem up for a while here. Gallo is searching for that first chase on Ghoul.
Yeah, Ruin can definitely be very oppressive towards the survivors, but we see the quick cleansing of Ruin from Wicca. Gallo not going to get any use out of that perk, unfortunately, because Ruin is such an oppressive perk, especially on high mobility killers, because if you just slug or hit and leave, people gotta leave gens early. Applying that Ruin pressure, applying that 5% regression that you have to continue building up. We're gonna see the first down come in with the first hook onto Zal with that pain res hook. And we're going to try and find our next survivor. We see that they have been working the bottom side generators. So we're gonna, all of our characters top, we see the quick pull come in onto Zal. So we're gonna go back to hook. Probably going to go for the tunnel, but it looks like we're gonna go for the fresh instead. Get that gen pressure, maybe get a second pain res going. Get rid of all the progression that they do have. We're gonna decide to leave this chase knowing that they're working on the bottom side generators to go interrupt any progress.
Yeah, Gallo trying to split up, divide, and conquer as much pressure as possible. And we are going to be able to find Nixie here around this bottom side generator. Going to be taking that bite, sending their distance away as Gallo going to be applying Eruption. Playing the slow game, playing the macro game. This isn't surprising at all to see from Gallo. As Juan said, just play the safe option here of going for these generators. And we are going to even find our last healthy survivor, as I think this is Skitter, who's going to be pre-sending it away. But the blast mine coming through, stunning Gallo on the gen, trying to go for that kick. Skitter going to be walking away now, stealthing it out. Gallo knows it's not worth my time to commit to this. I'm instead going to go just leave and find another survivor. And exactly that they do, as Wicca pre-leaving this gen right now, sending it into that one tile corner. Are we going to choose to commit onto this is the question. Tear radius getting louder. Looks like Wicca has an idea that Gallo is wrapping around that way. Are we going to go for the vault? We are going to be going for that second, but it is going to work out in Wicca's favor here. Is no down coming through. Gallo now going to vault after this Wicca. Are we going to make it? Maybe a double vault coming through. I think we tried to use our leap to go over that window, but it didn't quite pan out in Gallo's favor. Is Wicca going to be able to pre-drop that pallet? Gallo breaking it, and Wicca making some decent distance here into that main building. This chase is oh so important. Now going to be using our leap to vault over the pallet. Wicca has the resilience to be able to vault back over, but we go for the fake, and it doesn't quite work out, as now Gallo going to be able to slug out and try to find these survivors. As we see two survivors over here, actually, Zal and Skitter. Zal immediately going down.
Yeah, that was a very great find from our killer here. And that was actually a really good chase from Wicca, too. Gallo's got immense pressure right now. We still don't have a gen popped. And we're about to have possibly 3 survivors on the ground. We see that block come in, and we're going to see Nixie is the only one left picking up Wicca. They do have a decent amount of distance away on the other side of the map. We're going to choose just to pick up Skitter here. Get our pain res hook that we know is on this side of the map, just right outside. And we're going to see the second pain res come into play, stopping whatever regression there was on that most progressed generator. And we're gonna see Wicca trying to rotate for the pickup and the pull. Gallo deciding to leave the slug and the hook to go apply some pressure to these gens. Finding Nixie out on the generator. We're gonna see it down in our what we call our comp corner. And that is when you go and dive towards the corner as much as possible to try and get away from any progress gens or any hooks that are currently waiting to be unhooked.
Yeah. Looks like Gallo wanted to try to go for that pain res by Shaq, but thought it was a little bit too far and out of their reach, so instead you can just take the normal hook in the corner near the down. That's why you die in those comp corner situations. Eruption going to be applied to these two generators where instead are going to be wrapping around looking for any survivor working. There is a lot of progress on the board. Like you said, no gen is popped yet though, so Gallo still in a position to get this win con right now is instead swinging to the underground area trying to find out where the survivor that was working this gen went. We don't hear any grunts of pain. We see no crows landing from a nearby survivor. No pools of blood, no scratch marks. Absolutely zero. Is Skitter now going to rotate away that Gallo has committed to leaving? As this is what the survivors need to do. This is what Finland needs to do. They need to get the game back in their grasps by not just snowballing away, giving these downs back to back to back. Wicca going to be found out, pre-dropping that shock pallet early, needing to last in this chase, she knows. Is Gallo going to be breaking that one, trying to cut off, go for a bit of a mind game around Shaq here. Wicca holding the check spot, trying to play safe. Looks like went to bound back Shaq there, but it didn't pay out in their favor here as Wicca instead played the inside of the Shaq at the window. Now going to be stuck at this pallet. Going to be dropping it. Vaulting. Didn't quite work out. I think they might have envisioned they were going to go around, but Gallo going to be able to get the grab over top of that pallet, and this is our last fresh survivor, and it looks like we are going to carry towards that pain res here to slow down those gens even more.
Yeah, we're gonna see our third stack of pain res being used. Stopping that first generator from popping. It was so close. We do have a lot of progression on the board and a lot of gens are worked, but yet one to be popped. Gallo's doing an amazing job at getting these generators regressed and interrupting the progress on these generators. We see Skitter pre-left towards main, a safer spot to chase versus where they were. And we see the first generator is going to pop, and we do catch Skitter out, and we are going to get the down on Skitter, applying that eruption to that high progress gen. And we're going to see the second hook come in on Skitter. I think Skitter might be our last pain res stack. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember who did not get onto a pain res hook. We are going to see resets come in. The only one injured now is Zal. Skitter was not our last pain res stack. I'm going to think that Gallo's going to want to find that last pain res stack. They should be tracking who it is. Get that last pain res in now, knowing that we do have a gen that has pop, and there is progress around the rest of the map. We're going to want to find out the rotations, which we did just find Nixie trying to go for the unhook on Skitter. Catching out that rotation, finding Zal going back towards the generator, getting the progress on the gen that's only at half, and we're gonna get the down. I think the best choice would be to slug and pressure, knowing that everyone is injured and they did just get the unhook, but we're going to choose to pick and get the hook instead.
Yeah, like you said, Gallo really needs to find that last pain res right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think it is Nixie, because she did die in the corner earlier in this trial, denying a pain res, if I'm not mistaken. Unhook going to be coming through on the Zal very early on here, though. We see scratch marks and blood going into the corner of the map. This is, I think, Laura. Or no, this is Laura. This is Skitter, who's going to make it to that bottom main pallet, but not be able to make it over without going down. Unhook comes through, but there was a whole lot of progress right now. 4K3 was the result of last game, so Gallo can't afford to let a gen pop if he wants to take this set. Looks like we are going to have Wicca here stuck at the main building right now, playing 50-50s on this window. One vault going to go through. Wicca sending it away to the safe pallet next to it. Is Gallo going to go for any mind games here? Looks like they are. Not going to quite pan out, though. Is Wicca going to be able to make it over that pallet thanks to the help of Resilience, giving that extra little bit of speed boost and the vault animation. Gallo still committing to this, though. That gen and bottom sign has to be oh so close. We saw it earlier, was close. Bit of a mind game happening. Gonna fake. Is gonna pay off for Wicca. There goes the gen. This is tie condition met for our survivors. One more gen and they win. Gallo, best you can do is tie. Dropping into main. Not gonna get the down just yet. Now we'll be going down. Those are two downs, though, Jazz, that are pretty much on top of each other in that underground.
Yeah, they're right on top of each other here, but are we going to see the survivors trying to go for the pick, or are we going to see a double out of the gen? They just need to do one more gen to get the win con met here. So I think right now they should be just doubling out of gen, but our killer might think the same thing, so they're probably going to go around the map, which they do find out Nixie here, who is, you are right, I do believe is our last pain res sack because they did die in that corner. Nixie playing the 50-50s, but unfortunately losing it at the window, gonna go down, but I don't think there's, again, I don't think there's a pain res hook near there. They're all top and right side if I remember correctly, but we're gonna choose a slug and we're gonna find Wicca out in the corner. Wicca has been doing an amazing job at connecting tiles, but unfortunately being out in this corner, not much to be able to play, not many resources. You kind of just have to go to the corner to die.
Yeah, we are gonna taking the pickup, take that hook stage into the corner of the map right now. So 3 survivors are now on that death hook. Zal gonna be able to commit to get that pickup, as Gallo is gonna come back, find the blood of the survivors nearby. Looks like Nixie gonna be forced to wrap around this. I think that is the sprint burst that's gonna be used here to try to make it back to the tile. Are we gonna make it to the pallet though? I think this one actually was broken a little bit earlier, so only has the window right here to play. Wrapping around it expertly though, as no, I was mistaken here. That pallet is still up and available. Nixie gonna be greeting it one last time, but I think one last time too many, as will be taking the hit over top of that pallet. As we see, the survivors are going to be splitting up here. One survivor committed the unhook. We saw the other was committed to the gen oh so far away. It looks like dropping into the main building right now, but we are exhausted. We aren't going to make it to be able to get that balance landing or over the pallet. Skitter going back onto the floor right now, as Gallo still knows they need to keep applying pressure. You can't afford to take the pickup. You need to find the survivor who's been working on those gens, and looks like they will do exactly that. Zal going to be forced away to Shaq, as I would imagine. We might kick this gen, apply our eruption, and commit onto the survivor.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep slugging and keep leaving here. We cannot let another gen pop if we want to take this set. There's an incredible amount of pressure from the survivors here. We see the little waiting to get our exhaustion back into the sprint burst is what it looked like, or we just were walking 2 sprint bursts away to a better tile. The green unfortunately not coming through and getting hit just on the tip of the swing, applying the eruption to whatever generators have been kicked and have progress, getting that regression going again, and we're gonna see all survivors now officially are gonna be on death hook. We're in a really tough spot, but we do see the reset come on to Wicca. The survivors gotta pull something off to get that gen popped.
Yeah, looks like we're trying to split the farthest two generators. That far corner gen next to the silo and the gen right above Shaq. We are going to be finding the healthy Wicca, taking the bite onto her right now. So every survivor back injured again. Nixie coming off that hook has the second win. So after a short 15-second break, will be fully healthy. Now Gallo, they're going to be kicking, applying eruption to those 2 gens that they know have the progress. Zal force off the gen next to Shaq right now. Gallo wants to commit to this, wants that eruption down. Pallet was already used to check though, so Zal going to just be forced to wrap around the backside right now. We have the light for the window, but I don't think we're going to quite make it. Is a good fatigue there. Is going to be Zal back onto the floor once again. Nixie is healthy due to the second wind right now. And we have a survivor we saw lurking on the edge map coming in for that pickup. The second Gallo leaves it, as Gallo went for a bit of a cutoff here. Read that the survivor would pre-leave early around the back of main building. Survivor did not rotate directly that direction, so was able to get the read on Gallo and not going to be caught out by that. So instead, stuck here at the silo. We see the survivor on the edge map, though. It is Skitter, the survivor who's been cranking away at this gen. Our balance landing survivor, though there is no drop to be had. It's now an M1 around that snow pile, is going to seal their fate. But Gallo still continuing to slug out here. We spot another survivor. This is Nixie here, who is playing around the main building. Pickup does come through. You killer knows that is Wicca. One bound is going to be used. Another bite going to be committed to on the Nixie here. And Gallo still trying to slug this out and apply this pressure here, Jazz.
Yeah, Gallo has, I would say, an immense amount of pressure. Everyone's injured, constantly getting these downs. They're constantly having to pick people up. But this gen is pumping away, and it is well progressed to 75% at least. We're going to try and find the survivor here that's been working on it, stealthing around, not getting that bite to get on top of that pipe. We're going to find Wicca, who's been doing an amazing job at chases. We're gonna get the down on the Wicca, but we have to slug this. We cannot let those survivors get another gen completed. They're definitely trying to get either that gen by Shaq done or the one by the silo. Those two are the furthest gens in this. As the survivors, you want to work the two furthest gens from each other so that the killer does have to traverse the whole map to get the down. It looks like Nixie is going to force locker pull here. It's going to force the killer to pick and possibly take a hook, but I think as Gallo's just going to drop them and say, no, I don't have time for this. I need to go stop my generators. I need to get pressure on them. But I think we might see a pop come in. I think we're going to see a pop. They're going to commit to this. It's the best way to it, and we're going to see the pop come in. We're going to see the WinCon Met. Zell sticking to that gen, not giving a care in the world, says, I got this gen. This generator is mine. We're going to get that last gen pop to meet the win condition.
Yeah, all three survivors just said, none of us get off our generators. We saw Skitter was actually sitting on top of that generator near the silo. Just said, if you want to go check that bottom gen, you're going to let me pop. And so Gallo was forced to take that down, the grab. The survivors knew this was our final chance to get this. Might be the last one we'll have all game, and they committed and got it done. 3 gens popping. This will be every survivor on the ground, though, so it will be a 4K2 for Gallo. Still a very, very, very good result. But unfortunately today that is not enough, as Wicca put up an even better one in the previous trial, as Gallo collecting the scraps, picking up these survivors, going to be putting them on their respective hooks as we make our way. Hooking now. This is Nixie. And yeah, we are going into that third set. That is Finland going to be up 2-0 going into Cannibal on Dead Dog Saloon here.
Yeah, Finland is definitely putting up a fight today. They really want to progress. They really want to make it through this. They want to make it into the finals. Very well played by Finland so far. This Cannibal set, are we going to see the same thing? Are we going to see these 4K4s, these 4K3s? Is this what we're going to see? Are these going to be the win cons for these two teams today? Both teams doing very well on the killer side and on the survivor side. I think this is a pretty fair matchup, Cyber.
Yeah, the difference for both sets so far has been 1 gen. It has been a hair's distance from each other. Finland edging out both of those first 2 sets to be able to take a decisive lead. And number 5 here, immediately charging that chainsaw and already using it to break open the breakable wall on Shaq here, as we'll see how this ends up panning out for her coming into this trial.
Yeah, we do see the classic corrupt intervention onto the gens to try and not let the survivors start those gens early. And we also saw a typical Cannibal perk being used, Bamboozle, to shut... I mean, let's be honest. If you phase a Cannibal, you already know they got Bamboozle. You know. You're just waiting to see. It's a very big surprise if they don't. We are going to get the first chase onto Wicca here. Depleting these resources already. This is a big part of the Cannibal set. You pre-drop, you try and play for the stun. If you get the stun on the chainsaw, it's huge cooldown for the killer and is great for the survivor. But when you don't get the stun, just breaking through these pallets, depleting these resources is what can really have the snowball effect on the Cannibal set, Cyber.
Yeah, and we already see that add-on coming into huge fruition here. Breaking through, I think that was 4 pallets already. Crypt Intervention isn't even on its last 25%. We still have a decent chunk of time left on that perk, stopping these generators from being worked on the far side of the map right now. Nixie going to be the second survivor we find wrapping around this pallet. Going to be forced to break this one, as Nixie is going to make it to a second pallet entirely. Going to be pre-dropping this one. Chloe breaking through that as well. We see Skitter and Wicca still working those gens. Zal, I assume, on one as well, as Nixie going to be going into the corner. Doesn't think that she's going to make it quite to another pallet. So instead, going to take the safety, dive full corner, and try to hope that Chloe isn't going to make it to that basement. But look, we have a pain res right in front of us instead.
Yeah, we have beautiful pain res hooks for the killer this game. Chloe's got pain res hooks all around the map, which is what we would like to see on the killer side. We're also going to see a perk come into play here shortly that we haven't seen yet in this tournament, Cyber, and that's turn back the clock.
Yeah, turn back the clock is huge. It is after a hook. You have 60 seconds to go spot a gen a little bit away from you. You don't have to commit all the way over to it. Use that activate ability button to knock off 10% progress and start regression. So it's regression, but you don't have to commit as far to those gens, which is huge on killers like Bubba, where it is so punishing for you to do exactly that. Unhook does come through right now, and it looks like Chloe Wicca didn't quite make it far enough. So it is time to go in Bubba's basement. We'll see. Does Chloe opt to stay around, or are we going to be pushing away? As we do have that turn back the clock. So even that top main gen, which would normally be so time consuming, we could get that regression going. But instead, it looks like committing just to use that on the corner gen. We spot a survivor rotating away. Skitter is going to be the ire of our eye right now. Instead of forcing lock, we're going to be bumping on it, seeing if the survivor is going to be able to know to hop out in time. Isn't going to quite come through here, but it looks like we were a little bit afraid to head on right now. Going to be getting the grab, though. Didn't come through. Unhook does happen onto the basement here, as this is a lot of stages early on here. Chloe getting a lot of momentum going before the first gen is even popped.
Yeah, this is a lot of momentum for Chloe. However, I do think it was the best to be able to force lock to get Wicca out of basement there. Otherwise, you're just going to see so many survivors go down in basement. And we saw our pain res onto the main generator, which seems to be our most progress gen here. And we see that Zal has been working that quite often, but we also applied turn back the clock right after pain res just got popped onto that generator. We can kind of see here that Chloe is looking that she wants to hold the bottom side of the map, which is where a lot of her progress is right now. And we're going to see the constant checking of the generators on this bottom side, all of them having a decent amount of progress. We're going to want to apply regression to them, but we don't have any eruption, we don't have any ruins, so we don't have anything to after that kick to get any more progression. We don't have ruin as you're pressuring gens, moving towards gens to get that regression when they need to leave. I don't know, as much as Bamboozle is a great perk, I almost think we need more hello.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't hear grunts of pain. I think Skitter might have had Iron Will, was camping in that bush, hoping that Chloe wouldn't have noticed, but to their demise, it ended up being that Chloe was just walking through and bumped in, so Skitter still was going to be caught out there and go down. That is another turn back the clock, 10% gone off that generator. As, you know, I said in this game that Bubba's not a 4K killer going into this, but Chloe said, you know what? I'm going to prove it wrong today. I'm going to absolutely dominate. And that's what we've seen so far, is we have 4 stages. Only 1 gen has popped still.
Yeah, Chloe's doing an amazing job. Chloe's been doing an amazing job this whole Women's World Cup, honestly, so far. And I don't want to say one of my favorite killers, but definitely an intriguing killer to watch. We're going to go and get the next down onto Wicca with a nice little hammer hit. Unfortunately, we can't really take the BT hit as much as we want to, especially if that chainsaw gets pulled up, because, I mean, it's just an immediate back down, and we are going to get that tunnel out onto Skitter here. We're going to see the 3v1 come into play at 4 generators. Once again, at 4 generators. We're seeming to see this 3v1 come into play constantly at 4 gens, but we are going to see the next gen pop unless we get a turn back the clock proc on this gen. But I think we're going to be able to get it popped before that is possible, and we are going to find our next survivor going towards main, but we're going to opt to, no, we do the turn back the clock onto separate generator, and we are going to decide to chase Zal right here in front of main, getting that mind game around front of main pallet. We love Flick Bubba.
Yeah, that was perfect right now. Forced Zal around the long side there, played a 50-50 no. Zal committed to the vault animation, and it didn't pan out in her favor right now. We are going to be able to find Nixie here, who's forcing to that edge of the map. Isn't going to quite make it to any lockers. It's now 2 survivors on the ground, just Wicca standing here. Wicca, though, sending it for that pickup. Are we going to be able to get it in time is the question. We have the better than new. We recently got healed by a survivor who had that perk, so now we have the 25% increased heal speed. Is going to be able to get that pickup because of that perk right now. Zal going to be the survivor we choose to commit to right now, pushing to the back of these buildings. Nixie, already mostly recovered right now, is going for mind games here. But Zal is wiser too. Going to send it up. But even wiser is Chloe, committing around that way, cutting off Zal. That is going to be back on the floor, but this time we're going to take the full pickup on the Zal. as this pickup will come through on the other side of the map. And these survivors need to try to split up if they want to possibly have one more gen pop in this trial.
Yeah, they're definitely in a tough spot. Constantly having to get pickups, constantly having to pick up the slugs here. They're not being able to separate as quickly, so Chloe is able to find them out much easier. And Chloe's got a lot of pressure right now. We don't have a lot of gen progress around the map currently, as much as we did before. So I think Chloe's in a really good spot to maybe even possibly get. I don't want to say 4K3 because these survivors are doing really good at getting these gens back up and going after the regression events hit. But I think we could possibly see a 4K2 in this setup.
Yeah, especially these survivors understanding to control the tempo. No one getting caught out stealthing right now, so all three survivors are going to be back up and pressuring the killer. As I think Zal going to be the survivor we end up committing to with this chase right now. Has the water tower pallet, but look around us. There's not a whole lot left to play. As with the windows of opportunity, we have a lot of vaults to be able to use, but thanks to our primable bet on and how Chloe played the start of this trial, there was a lot of pallets used early on right now. We still have the wagon pallet though. Wicca going to be pre-dropping that. Chloe going to be committing around now. Breaking zoning deeper into this gal's area. I think we have one, maybe two pallets left over here as Wicca going to be pre-forcing that very early on right now. Sending instead back to the shack here. A bit of a risky call. Are we going to make this in time even? Holding up the saw. I think we will be able to make it. Forcing the pallet out. Zal and Nixie. I don't know if that's a double or a split, but they are both halfway on a gen right now. Wicca going to send it for water tower. It's going to be close if we make this one in time. Barely are. Pre-dropping that. Now forcing to the back little window here of this tile. Now going to be playing 50s no longer, instead of forcing to the corner. And we might see that gen or possibly gens pop.
Yeah, I definitely do think we are going to see... It looks like they are doubling. They are going to try and get that gen pop. They're going to try and bring it down to a 4K2 win con. I don't know. It's looking like they could possibly still get another gen done, especially if they're being so aggressive, doubling these gens out. I'm curious if if Wicca's telling them to let Wicca just sit on hook, or if they're going to try and play for the save, because they do have gens quite far away from the hook, but we are going to see Zal coming in for the save. But with that chainsaw hit coming in pretty quickly, we're going to see the instant down onto both of these survivors. Beautiful play by Chloe, and now we just have Nixie up, deciding if we're going to try and stealth for the pickup. They're right next to each other, so it's going to be really hard. Wicca, unfortunately, is out of the trial, and we are going to find Nixie out in the bottom of the map. We're just going to take the M1 down, and we are going to see the 4K2 come in, Cyber.
Yeah, an extremely, extremely good result here for Chloe, knowing that Bubba forcing out a lot of pallets early, forcing then getting Wicca into the basement, which forced Survivor to have to get grabbed. Because if you got slugged, there was a chance that we were going to be able to make it back. And then at the end there, slugging out beautifully, using the chainsaw to get that double down around the hook. You cannot trade versus Bubba. It's just impossible. With the chainsaw, you just both get down in the process. So Chloe, definitely an exceptional performance right there. We'll have to see how Wicca ends up performing on the killer and how Team Brazil ends up playing on the Survivor here. As, you know, I've said it a lot today, there's been such good results set by the killers in the first half of these sets. But every time they turned back the clock instead went for the eruption. As overall, I think that's pretty similar. Oh, actually, no. We also don't even have the bamboozle. I didn't even notice. We also have agitation. So we might even see maybe more play around the hooks, as we're going to try to take better hook positions, breaking those main doors very early on here, looking for our first chase of this trial.
Yeah, we did see scratch marks a little bit around Shack here, but we couldn't quite find our survivor who was there, who was Gallo. Gallo did an amazing job at stealthing around Shack, but we are going to find Queendom here, and we are going to get our first chase, and we're probably going to see our first pallet out of the game. But no, Queendom is going to decide to greed it a little bit and get that smash hit value to be able to get to the next tile here. We're kind of camping the pallet a little bit. We're going to see what side is we're going to try and play. Queenum getting that vault over, not getting tagged by the chainsaw. We're gonna ball though. Oh, beautiful vault back by Queendom. Wicca not getting that chainsaw up quick enough to be able to get the down through the window. This is so far a really good start for Survivor, Cyber.
Yeah, this is what you need. You need that first chase to last. You need to allow your teammates to get a lot of progress on those gens. First one already going to be popping right now. Wicca going for a little bit of flicks back and forth. Isn't going to pay out. Is Queendom going to be able to get that stun? Bonking Bubba in the head with the pallet right now. Vaulting over the window. No bamboozle in place. That window is not going to be blocked. Double vault going to come in as we send it back to that water tower pallet. Already dropped. Didn't get broke by the saw earlier as we were able to get the stun now. But a beautiful flick back and forth is going to get Wicca that down. Is Queendom going to be caught out over top of that pallet. Also getting the break. But that is 2 gens already popped here. A lot of pressure by Survivors.
Yeah, we're already at the win condition for Wicca. We're going to see that basement hook come into play. But if Wicca camps this, I mean, they're just going to pop gens. And that's that. You have to leave this. You can't stay in camp. You just have to go and pressure your generators here. We didn't even get a pain res done. Having 2 gens completed for the first chase is huge for the Survivors. Team Brazil really decided to lock in for this game. We're gonna see the ace here in match with, or in chase, sorry, with our wonderful flashbang pair, one of my favorites. We don't see the jump lock that I thought we were gonna see, but Isa doing a really good job at just looping this tiny little shack here. Wicca not taking the M1, just wanting to do this saw. Probably not want to take the M1 to not give them distance. However, we end up getting the head on. Isa knowing the timing out of the locker. I think Wicca should just be taking the M1 here, Cyber.
Yeah, but the overheat is going to come through. Are we going to be able to get this locker in time? No, we are not. Barely getting that grab. I would like to point out how narrow that time is. Hopping out the lock and going for the head-on have the same timings, if I'm not mistaken. It forces you, because if you head on too early while the Bubba is still fatiguing, tantruming with that saw, you will get down before the head-on stun comes through. So that was a near perfect timing here by Isa to be able to get that head-on to buy that precious seconds to be able to get more progress on the gen. And look at that progress, almost getting that last gen done here. Is going to be able to get the kick on that one to apply our eruption. We do have Queendom here, who was probably the one working it. This pallet, though, was used in Queendom's first chase, though, so there isn't anything else left to play going into the corner. And I think we did see Laney here, our Claudette, yeah, in chase. But we don't want to command that Winstead. Want to take the hook and possibly try to get here a pan res, because I think we saved it on Queendom.
Yeah, we didn't use it on Queendom quite yet. However, I really do think that we should have just led Queendom there and just gone, because they were so close and there's not a lot of resources where they went down. We maybe should have just gone for the slug and gone for the next down. But we have so much progress around the map from Team Brazil. They're doing a fantastic job right now at pressing these generators. I think we're going to see the pop come in, and I think we're going to see Brazil take the first set. Very well played by Brazil. We're going to see that gen pop. That is what they needed to do. Now we're at the tie condition. So this is either going to be a tie or they need to finish one last gen to fully take the win. Knowing that Wicca, I think, is just going to choose to camp out this last chase. No, we're going to decide to go after Lanier Claudette. We see the finesse perk come into play, giving us a quick vault and getting some distance. Wicca knows we're going to leave this. We're going to go back to our hook. We're going to find the Survivor rotating to get the unhook. And possibly we get the Gallo does not get in the locker quite in time. And we're going to see the down come and the kill onto Queendom. That unfortunate missed time of the locker. And we did hear Ace drop down from this generator and is going to take chase.
Yeah, is it going to be stuck here in this Gallows area? Pre-dropping that pallet, no stun coming through, though, so that will just be a mind game and an M1 there by Wicca to be able to get that down. Laney, the final Survivor. We keep seeing situations where the slug out comes through and it's just one Survivor standing. We're going to be able to get Gallo, though, back up and on their feet, as Wicca's going to be just more than confident to kick this gen, probably take the eruption on this, get the regression started, and have that security in your mind later that you have the eruption if you get it down to explode that gen and possibly give you maybe a little bit of info with the aura you get from eruption if a Survivor did not get off of it. But Wicca looking now, expect a survivor to rotate around the water tower, though we did not spot anyone out. Instead, going to be sending it to check the rest of these generators right now. Ice is still going to be on the ground in that gallows area. We check a survivor here. This is going to be Gallo fake because we see the pools of blood on the ground. Laney is not injured, so we know that is the injured Cheryl here is going to be sending it. Tried to make it to the main building, but to no avail. And now Chainsaw going to be tracking down Gallo, running as far, far away into that corner, dying in front of the exit gate, but the exit gates are not powered yet, Gallo. You cannot open that and get out of the trial. Pickup does come through, though, as we see our survivors immediately split up and harass those gens again.
Yeah, Gallo, unfortunately, you still got 2 more generators to go. So you can't quite leave just yet. You gotta stay in Bubba's world a little bit longer. We see the pain res come in, and we do hear a screen from what sounded like our Ace survivor. So we know that Ace was on that generator that they were probably working on before, and we do find him down here at the water tower. With that gen, not progress at all, so we know that they're not working on it. Into a beautiful mind game coming in from Wicca, getting that M1 down onto Ace. But we do see the pull come in. But now we know where both survivors are. So we're going to take the slug and we're going to see if we can get both of them down here. And maybe secure that Tycon here. And we're choosing not to chase Gallo, who went onto the top of the main building. But it looks like both survivors are both trying to play top main building here. But Gallo left. And we went to where there are no resources. We saw Queendom drop all these pallets in first chase. So Gallo doesn't have much to work with here, Cyber.
Yeah, there's some good pathing. No, it's going to allow Gallo to make it back to the window of this tile right now. No bamboozle in place, so nothing Wicca can do to deny that. But a mind game cutting off will do exactly that, getting the down. As we see, yeah, we kind of are in a perpetual rotation here. Is every time one survivor comes off the floor, another one goes down on it. As our survivors need to try to survive here, need to stealth out maybe, so we can get everyone else up and possibly healthy. Aiza, though, cranking away on that gen. I think they are on the top floor gen by Shaq, if I'm not mistaken here. As dropping down, now going to be running deep into that gallows area. Though Terradius is leaving, possibly going back to the pickup, and we are going to find Laney, who was wrapping around the main building. We saw the head of our Claudette wrapping around here. We might see the break of the back main door, a rare sight, but that does open a lot of new looping opportunities here for our survivor and killer. Laney sending it up to the top main window. We saw Finesse in our back pocket. We are going to use it very fast here on the window to try to make some good distance. Going to be going for a bit of a mind game here. Are we going to be able to get anything off here with that back door? No, we are not. Instead, just committing out the top side. Is Laney. Nothing here. We keep seeing survivors run into this corner, but there isn't any more pallets. They don't respawn. They were gone early on. Is Laney now going to be their turn to force into the corner, as we see our other 2 survivors doubling up on that water tower around Gen.
Yeah, we see them doubling up. However, Eruption was procced on the generator, so the Bubba knows exactly where both of these survivors are, because I do not think they got off in time before the down. So Bubba had aura on both survivors, knowing that they were working it, trying to double out, try to get that last gen for the win con versus a tie. And we're going to see Gallo take chase into the gallows area. Gallo in the gallows. Interesting. And we're going to try and play this pallet, try and waste as much time as possible. The one place on the map really where there still is a couple of resources left. We're going to take the down and decide to just slug it out. And we're going to see Laney get right back on the gen with resilience. So that extra little bit of quickness on the generator with that resilience. Well, Isa takes chase right into the back of main with, look, one of the last 2 pallets left in this side of the map. And we're just going to see Isa go straight to the corner.
Yeah, we see the rotation of Laney here. Gallo, though, wants to be sure, is going to start making their way towards the gen. We'll have information now on where the survivor is after the pickup does come through. Yeah, Wicca immediately sending it back over. Are we going to catch another rotation, though? Isa is dead in the back main building area. I actually like to point out this set isn't fully over. The gen tie condition has been met, but Laney has not been hooked yet. The way the scoring works is there's a priority of 3 different scores. It is gens are the highest priority. If one team pops more gens to the other, they win. The next is overall hook stages. you can get 0 to 12 overall. If one team has more hook stages and the gens are tied, the team with the more hook stages win. And last but not least is the fresh hooks. Laney has not been hooked with the fresh hook, so if we get downed and bled out, we don't get that last fresh hook. We will get all the overall hook stages, but not the fresh. So Laney still has the play, but it looks like it will not matter as we are sticking to that gen. It is going to be close. We didn't rotate for Isa's pickup. Brazilians came through, popping that gen. That is Brazil taking their first set, making the scoreline 2-1 with Finland still up. But a fighting spirit in Brazil as they are going to force us to go to Lich on Dead Dog Saloon following this.
Yeah, Gallo knew exactly where they needed to die. They knew, okay, they're working that gen on the top side of the map. I gotta die way in the corner on the bottom side. Giving Lanny that time with the resilience, that extra speed, being able to get that gen done, being able to take the set. Very well played by the Brazil survivors. Their comms must be on point this game. Knowing that everyone's in corners, we got that last fresh hook, so now there's no bleed out points. Now that last fresh hook is in, so I mean, if they bleed out, it's just full hook stages anyway now, and we're gonna see. I mean, I'm excited for Lich. I love some Lich games. We're gonna see it on Dead Dog once again. We'll be back onto this realm. I love some good Dead Dog gameplay. It's very interesting to see how it's played each and every time. If you break out the main walls, if you break up the shack walls, what are you gonna break? What loops are you gonna create for the survivors? And what loops are you gonna break down for the killer? We see Wooka here just doing their chainsaw, taking their chainsaw around the map, going for a little tour. Oh, you know, I didn't like that suitcase either, Wicca. I don't blame you.
Yeah. Lich, though, I don't know if we saw Team Finland pick it, but we definitely saw Team Brazil play a Lich set or two. And Chloe looked insane on Lich, using the spells to absolute full potential, getting double hits with the skeletons, really playing around. What makes DDS so good for Lich is the elevation differences. You know, the main building is slightly elevated, shack is slightly elevated, the stairs to go to top floors all offer elevation differences to where you can't crouch underneath those skeletons anymore. So a lot of that usage and the Trickster's Glove for the holding up duration. As the Spelling Sphere are going to be sent by main, we are going to find Icica with that one. We also saw Aiza up on top of the main building as Wicca immediately, ooh, this is very interesting, going to be breaking open this back main door, offering a new depth to mind games we want to play around main building right off the start of this game here, Jazz.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea for her to break it down because that does also give multiple options. We're going to see that Mage Hand come into play here, and we're going to see where that Trickster's Glove and the boots take into effect with the haste and that extra time, like I was saying, being able to hold that pallet a little bit longer. And to keep note for you viewers out there, you do know to amazing skulls right at the pallet. Wow. As I was saying, though, within comp, you do not get to search the chest and get the powers and those extra little fun things against Vecna, against the Lich like you do in pubs.
Yeah, no magic items allowed. They can be a little bit unbalanced, so we try to minimize the factor of that for our killers here. As Wicca going to be breaking the shack door. I think that was a basement hook actually taken. Yeah, so not going to use our pain res early on. Wicca did go for a full slowdown build. No perks to help them in chase. No batteries included is commonly seen. No agitation even to get to the basement, which we saw played in the Bubba set by Wicca. Just full corrupt, pain res, pop, and eruption to try to slow down those gens right now. As a little bit of pushing out by Wicca here. We are going to find Gallo here, playing around this tile. Going to be using the anti-skeletons, but a little bit of distance, not quite there. So we are going to be able to not to get that tag. Gallo vaulting back immediately, going to be getting on that gen. We see the scratch marks running into the basement, but we are down our crucial cooldown. Those skeletons to be able to try to tag survivors coming up the stairs. So Queendom going to be able to make it away scot-free, taking that M1. We'll take the BT hit, but still has plenty of distance right now. We also have the lucky break on this survivor, so possibly the ability to lose the killer, but I think we were able to keep eyes right now. Wicca is going to be able to spot out Queendom and commit onto this chase right now, using that fly cooldown, wrapping around this, but Queendom sent it to the edge map. We'll see if our killer's going to be able to identify this. Lucky break was still used, but yeah, Wicca is wiser, is aware Nothing getting past this Lich, as instead M1 down on the edge map, but no pain res to be played here in Gallows.
No, we are seeing our pain res kind of all on one side of the map once again. Our lovely pain res RNG that we talked about so many times. But we are going to get Killer Instinct on the ace, so we do know where they're gonna, with where they are working. We have amazing mind game by Wicca. Isa not holding check spots to see, but we are gonna see 2 gens pop in the time being that Queendom is on second hook and Isa is going on first hook, which we are on a pain resonance hook. Gallo choosing to come in and drop the pallet, and I don't think Wicca knew that Gallo was there. But Wicca doesn't really care anyway, wanting to get the orb onto the 2 survivors, knowing their placements, knowing where they are, and we're gonna want to go back for the quick tunnel out onto Queendom because they did get such a quick down at 5 generators, and we are probably going to see the first amazing skulls right on top of Queendom, just like that. That is the amazingness of the use of the skulls by the Lich. His skulls are just so much fun and so hard to predict as Survivor. You never know where they're gonna spawn necessarily. It kind of all depends on where the killer is aiming when using the power. So amazing job by Wicca there, getting our tunnel out, getting the first death at 3 generators. However, we do see that that next gen is gonna pop. Gallo getting that gen pop, making it down to 2 gens with only 3 hooks. Brazil doing an amazing job getting all this pressure onto Wicca right now. Wicca needs to bring something out, get more use out of that pop goes the Weasel and Eruption and pain res, but unfortunately our pain res spawns are just not working out for Wicca here.
Yeah, gonna be forced to take another non-pain res hook. I think we took the pain res earlier though on the Survivor when we got that down initially when the unhook on Queendom came through earlier in this trial though, so Isa just going to be perfectly fine going on that normal hook. We are going to get a little bit of information with our Dispelling Sphere, that Killer Instinct on the Gallo here, far, far away, sitting that generator. So Wicca knows it is Isaka who is going to be looking for this unhook right now. We are looking for our Lara Croft. Instead, going to be kicking that gen, applying our Pop and Eruption. We see Lara in a bush. I think this is a similar site that we saw a trial ago. But are we going to get found is the question. We know there's no Dispelling Sphere to help us. Oh, actually, now it is back as we are going to send it here. I think that was towards our Survivor. Are we going to get the Killer Instinct on this one? No, we will not. His unhook is going to come through, so we will have that knowledge, but too little, too late, as that is Ace gone and dusted away. Stun going to come through here. No hit coming through. Looks like we were going to maybe go for Insta Skulls, but it didn't quite come through before. The stun is now isolated, stuck, trapped at the back of this building. Is our Lara playing that M1 mind game here? Taking the hit, I think might have double backed accidentally, so isn't going to make any distance to anything. As Lara instead just going to wrap around over here and now go down. This might be Gallo getting pain res, but I don't quite think there is one close enough here, Jazz.
No, I don't think there is. We have a little bit ways away, a little bit of a travel to this pain res. We are going to see Gallo pop their gen, bringing down to 1 gen left. I mean, these Survivors are just doing a really good job at creating the pressure needed. We are going to see the pain res pop on not even like a 10% gen, so... we're also not going to get use out of one of our pain res stacks either because of the fact that Queendom was never pain res. So we did lose out on a pain res stack, but we're going to see the skulls come out onto play. Our favorite little spell by the Lich, but we're just going to take the M1 down. Isa going into a spot where you can't really play against the skulls much. You're just kind of out of resources over here, so we're just going to take the quick M1 down, and we're going to see our second death come in. We have 1 generator left. We're going to see the reset come, so Wicca knows they're still, both Survivors are still within, under the hook radius, being able to create knowledge on where they are, getting that Killer Instinct on the Gallo, which is our last fresh hook. But looks like we're going to continue to try and go for Isaka and get the tunnel out onto Isaka, being able to make the Shack pallet. Dropping into basement though, but no balance landing, so you don't get a balance landing perk into basement.
Yeah, some good pathing though. We aren't going to get caught out there. We are going to use the Dispelling Sphere once again towards those Gallows generators right now to see if Gallo Fake is working any of them. No information gained. Gallo has been a beacon of information. We've gotten Dispelling Sphere onto Gallo so many times this game, so change of pace here. No information. We do not know where Gallo has rotated off to. We are going to looks like commit onto Icica here, dropping off the Gallows early. Like you said, no bounce landing in play for the Survivor, so aren't going to make any good distance and are just going to immediately take that M1 tag here, running deeper into this Gallows area, giving you a little bit of insight into possibly where Gallo might be rotating, or not rotating, but sitting a gen, as we are going to want to die as far as possible, but to no avail, as this is going to be the down here, and Gallo already pre-stealthed on that edge map, possibly playing for an unhook.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to go for the unhook here, if we're going to try and decide to take Hatch. But although the killer knows where Hatch is, so I doubt that we're going to try and play Hatch. I definitely don't think we should be going for the unhook, though. Maybe try and get this one fresh hook stage out. We see one of the gates is on the bottom side of the map, right where that hook is. I'm not too sure where our other gate is at this current moment. We can see Wicca knowing, they're probably not going to go for the save. I'm going to stand by Hatch. We're going to get this close Hatch, and we're going to play the gate game. I think we just saw the other gate. Gallo is currently already stealthing at closer to the top side of the map, but they're also still not far away from each other. So with the Lich's fly, they're able to get to the gates quite quickly. We see Wicca putting out their Dispelling Sphere over to the one gate to kind of try and get some information before closing that shack to see if they're there. We didn't get any information, but I think Wicca just might have a feeling, and I think we might have saw Gallo behind this rock hiding into the bush to try and sneak to that gate.
Yeah, Wicca sent the Dispelling Sphere. Didn't get any information off of it, but peeked at the other door because it was a bit closer. Is going to be able to get that one. Gallo isn't going to be hit by those skulls, but is going to be forced killer on the short side to get that M1. That will be a 4K1 overall, which even 4K1 on Lich, another really good killer result. These killers today have just been on top of the world.
Yeah, they've been doing a really good job, and we're getting our lovely Vecna Mori. A Lich Mori is honestly one of my favorite Moris in the game. It's very unique, I think is the word that I'm trying to look for. Having that skulls tear apart the flesh of the survivor, a little gruesome, but I definitely do think it's definitely one of my favorites.
One add-on I didn't even mention here. That is the Pearl of Power, if I'm not mistaken, which every time you hit a basic attack, your spells come 2 seconds off cooldown, so just another way to get cooldown reduction on your spells here.
Yeah, absolutely. We're able to bring those spells back quite a little bit quicker, being able to be a possible quicker down with these spells, being able to use them. We are going to see the Trickster's Boots come into play again, which again, if you don't know how those work, it gives you 5% haste while your Mage Hand is up.
Yeah. Oh, but the beam save!
The beam!
Skitter, very early down there, but it did not matter. We had our teammate lurking nearby with the flashlight. Gonna be a beam save to help extend Skitter's first chase right now. Sending it away. Skeletons are gonna be enough though, as we end up getting down, trying to make it away. Going for another filler is Wicca. Looks like was possibly playing for another beam save. Will end up being spotted out right now. Wrapping away to that shack. Doesn't want to come in that close to accidentally get on tag or anything. But Painrest is going to come through onto Nixie's gen right now. As we'll see, is Wicca going to immediately be committed to in chase because our position is revealed to the killer?
Yeah, our position is revealed. We know where they are. But I'm going to say we don't have a lot of... We have some gen progress along the map, but not as much as Brazil did in the beginning of the game. When our first up, with Wicca playing for that flashlight save, that's one less survivor on a generator pressuring those gens. But we are gonna get our eruption procs onto that one gen while we see the pull come into play. I don't know, are we gonna go for a tunnel here, or are we gonna try and get a fresh hook?
Well, we spotted Wicca go towards the main building right now. We're sending the Dispelling Sphere to the corner. We are looking for the injured survivor, but Skitter sent it to the shack. It's in the basement, if I'm not mistaken. We saw getting in one of those lockers. They should be away free right now, as Chloe shows no indication of wanting to go down there to look for basement, as that's a bit risky here to commit all your time down there. These gens are so high progress, though. We have main building has a little bit of progress. Zal's gen has quite a bit, and Nixie's also had a lot of progress right now. Is instead going to be found out our Ada taking the chase right now towards the shack. We'll be taking an M1 right now as we pop our first gen, sending it now to that deeper gallows area. Are we going to commit onto this, or are we going to split away and leave? Committing looks like to be the choice right now. Going for the cutoff and does so beautifully. Chloe denying the pallet altogether, not even needing to use the mage hand or skeletons, is going to be able to get that down and pick up and probably bring to another pain res hook to try to slow down these gens.
Yeah, that was a beautiful block off of the pallet from Chloe there, being able to get that down as quickly as possible. We see her second pain res hook come into play. The survivors are working 2 different generators currently. Looks like we're gonna go interrupt the one on main gen, get our Pop Goes the Weasel applied with Eruption. We have information on 2 different survivors right now with that Dispelling Sphere, knowing that they're in the corner, probably resetting Skitter as they are injured and they were the original tunnel out. Skitter being able to dodge the skulls, but Mage Hand coming into play just in time to block that pallet from being dropped, and Skitter unfortunately going down. Going to be going on to second hook, as we see another gen pop in the background right now. Okay, well, my now was a little too early. But we're gonna see Chloe's gonna want to try and get... We see the little nodders knowing that they're working that gen, but we're gonna try and pressure this hook a little bit, make sure that they can't 100% get the save.
Yeah, we have Nixie playing very close to this hook right now, stealthing inside the main building. If Chloe can find this, main building isn't the safest versus the Lich compared to a lot of other killers because of the elevation to use the skeletons to be able to deny any sort of crouch play around these. Wicca going to be forced away from the gen. Pop goes the Weasel Interruption, going to be applied. Fly immediately going to be used to go back to the hook to try to deny this, but it is too late. Nixie already going to get it. Are we going to be able to get the FTP off in time? Yes, we will. That is healthy Skitter. No longer is that M1. Immediately is going to follow up, though. Taking that hit around this building. We are cranking those gens now. Zal, Wicca splitting. Do we make it back to this window even in time? Looks like we are going to use the skeletons. Are we going to get the crouch off? Yes, we will. Skeletons to no avail. Wrapping now. Has the pallet, but a bit of mind game going to be used to pick up. I don't think we're going to make it to this window, as instead that'll just be a grab out of the locker. Eruption exploding the generator of Wicca and Nixie, as this will be our first survivor back to the campfire as we are going into this 3v1.
Yeah, they're gonna go warm up after a chilling game, and we're gonna see the interruption probably on Wicca's gen, but we do see Zal working a gen with very high progress in the background as well, probably farther away from the gen. We're gonna take the chase onto Wicca using our skulls, but Nixie is also here injured from the FDP onto Skitter from earlier. Still broken, so unable to get healed, and as I said, that you just come unbroken. We're gonna see the third gen pop within the background, and now we're down to two generators left. This is the win con for Chloe, as a tie would be a 4K1. So we need to get these survivors onto hooks and back to the campfire quickly. Otherwise, we might look at a tie scenario.
Yeah, Dispelling Sphere, though, going to be used to catch a survivor out here. We see Zal around the main building, but has a lot of distance, so is it going to be getting tagged just yet? Skeleton's going to be used here, trying to snipe them out atop the main balcony as Unhook comes through at the same time right now. We double back immediately. We want to go for the kill. I imagine Nixie's going to be the survivor we commit to, and yes, it is Chloe. Staring down the Ada, waiting, counting the 15. Isn't going to wait any longer. Instead, just going to instantly take the hit on the base get borrow time right now. Endurance used. Breaking the pallet of Shack now. Going to be using Fly to try to catch up. They have an Orman tile here. Do we make it to anything else, though? We are wrapping around the outside instead of going for the water tower because of the Fly cutoff right now. Dropping that pallet, but some instant skeletons are going to be used beautifully here. That is going to be Nixie onto the ground for the final time, picked up, and now will be joining their teammate Skitter back at the campfire. We see Wicca rotating away deeper into that gallows area. Zal almost halfway onto their own gen, as we'll see if our survivors are able to pop one more and meet that tie condition.
Yeah, these survivors need to pop one more generator, get the time, be able to maybe even possibly get Brazil out of this matchup. But I mean, I kind of want to see race sets, so I'm kind of okay if we get a little bit of a win and tie condition here. We are gonna not get any information from our skeletons around. Or not our skeletons, sorry, our fly. But we are gonna find Wicca back at this generator here. We're gonna apply eruption. Pop is already gone. We are going to take the chase onto Wicca, who is a fresh hook. Both survivors left are 2 different fresh hooks. We see Zal already back on, I'm going to guess, main generator, as that is the one that we did check up on. Lich choosing, Chloe deciding to come to the main gen, interrupting main generator. So no progress here. They don't want that gen to pop. They really want to get this 4K2.
Yeah, Zal wrapping around the back of main building here. Some good pathing though. Dispelling Sphere not going to quite catch onto their heels as they instead wrap around Chloe. Going to be doubling back now. Possibly trying to cut off this survivor. And it looks like they will not actually. Instead using that fly cooldown to immediately try to go back and catch Wicca out of position here. We see the gen no longer regressing here. Wicca pre-summing a pallet very early on. Are we going to go for the skeletons? Yes, we are. But some good crouch by Wicca is going to be able to deny that. Finesse over the pallet. No M1 coming through. Zal back on top main right now. Wicca going to be denied the pallet because of the mage hand picking up. We blocked the prompt. M1 taken. Now that is both of our, I guess you could say, aggressive cooldowns to be able to try to get these survivor down. Gonna drop the wagon pallet pretty early on here, though. Get the vault over to safety. Still has some decent distance, so good. Instead, chain it back to this other drop filler. Zal has a lot of progress on main. Chloe needs to close this out and needs to close it out now. And exactly that they do, as with that down, we might be able to make it to a pain res in time to deny that main building gen from popping.
And we do indeed make it to the pain res hook, and that gen is now regressing. But Zal's right back on it. But we're not going to see it pop. There's not enough time in between the killer getting there for that generator to pop. Zal, being the last survivor, gonna go, looks like they're gonna try and get the save on Wicca, which means they're gonna have to have an amazing chase, but we could see a very quick 2-tap onto Zal here with knowing that, but the skull's missing, going a little too far. I think we're gonna go for the fresh hook and get the last pain res here and get our last fresh hook onto Zal, which could come in very quickly as we don't really have many resources around. And we're just, quick and quiet into the locker with the head on. Oh. Beautiful play by Zal.
Yeah, head on there, gonna be able to buy you a lot of time here to make it to something, but there is nothing close. That head on only bought a couple more seconds right now. Dispelling Sphere sent to the main building right now. We do get the killer instinct on the survivor at our feet. We did know that they were there. As no information on a survivor atop the main building. Wicca already had pre-left. Looks like it's going to be camping that front main pallet, watching as Chloe gets closer. Is Chloe going to hear the grunts of the injured Claudette? We'll see. Looks like possibly not here. Looking around, mind game around the front main pallet. Will end up finding Wicca here. Wicca not going to be able to make it away scot-free to that pull. Skeleton's used here. We'll see. Are we going to make it to this pallet in time? Doesn't matter. Mage hand going to be used. That'll be Wicca denied that pallet, not making it to that window. Down goes Wicca, trying to get that prompt to get the pickup. We'll be taking us to a nearby hook, and that'll be a 4K2 for Chloe. Brazil punching back when they were down 0-2. They won the Bubba Dead Dog Saloon. They won the Lich Dead Dog Saloon, and now we go to Wraith Dead Dog Saloon. Maybe I'm just seeing Jazz. Dead Dog Saloon might just be Team Brazil's map.
I was just thinking the exact same thing. Team Brazil, I think, is so familiar with the Dead Dog Saloon, and they love it so much that they're just doing amazing. Brazil's done a really good job on coming back from the 0-2 results. Now tying it at 2-2. So the race that is going to determine it all, and Wraith is definitely a more you need to pay attention set for sure, because of the fact that when they are invisible, they don't have a TR. You don't know where they are. They are harder to see on the map, traversing along the map. you quite often don't see them until they are right on you and you don't have
a long best of 5. It is going the distance here to that 5th set overall. Chloe piloting that Wraith as we already spot 3 survivors out. 1 survivor going to be around the edge map here. That is going to be Zal taking an early M1 here. Sloppy Butcher is going to be applied as, yeah, we opted for no corrupt intervention and full kick besides Sloppy Butcher. So we have the Pain, Pop, Eruption combo. Going to be wrapping around this one. Vaulting over the pallet, but Zal going down is, yeah, Chloe is already showing, I know how I want to play her on Wraith on this map. Only 1 pallet was used in that chase. No corrupt intervention even to lose early on, as it looks like we might not even take a pain res here. Jazz is going for the mid-map hook.
Yeah, we're going to take that mid-map hook so we can easily get around to check our gens quicker. And like I said before, we do see the Sloppy Butcher perk. So it looks like Chloe does not want hit tanks to come in at all. We're going to see the pop come in on this generator that Wicca was working. The quick pull come in from Nixie, and Skitter is working on that generator, and we're gonna go for the tunnel out right quick onto Zal, getting that quick down, having that eruption proc on the gen that we put Pop Goes the Weasel down onto, getting that second hook, taking the pain res this time, and now we're gonna probably go for a next fresh hook.
Yeah, Chloe keeping the pressure. Zal already back on that second stage. The gen progress isn't even that much. No gen is above 50% right now. We have the pop. We have the eruption. We are going to, looks like, slow down another gen. I think we're going to kick the top main, if I'm not mistaken. And Nixie, not going to be aware of it, is going to end up being caught out here, taking an M1 very early on here, dropping into the main building. Is going to be Chloe committing onto this one. Not going to be using that pop eruption. Instead, going to try to apply pressure by just getting a slug, possibly. We see the blood here, going to be taking some distance away, but Chloe is aware of it, sees a survivor already rotating back. That is Wicca, if I'm not mistaken, going to be going for that unhook, but a beautiful cutoff is going to completely deny it altogether. Swinging, not going to be able to get to that pallet. Wicca getting that stun away free, and smash hit. That is huge. That smash hit is going to allow the unhook happen without it being a trade, I think. No, actually not. Wicca taking that tag and not even committing the trade onto that hook here, but still playing very, very close. This could be devastation if we get that down. This is on top of Zal's hook. I don't think anyone else is here to come in for this. Down coming through, but we do see Nixie absolutely sending it. The injured other survivor, Ada Wong, committing around the swinging, trying to hit, but Zal body blocking for her teammate.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Wicca didn't commit to that unhook and just take the trade. It definitely was able to get the trade there, having more pressure onto the survivors now. But Nixie definitely getting to the unhook right at that last second. Zal doing a great job at hitting those skill checks to not die. But we are going to see Zal going back to the campfire, unfortunately. And we might see our second gen pop in the background with Skitter working on it, unless our Wraith comes to interrupt it real quick. But it looks like the Wraith is on main generator instead, so we are gonna see the second gen pop with our first death occurring. But no, Skitter doesn't commit it.
Yeah, Skitter ends up just taking the distance and leaving this. A body block by Chloe, not able to make it to that pallet. M1 gonna be coming through. We have Eruption on the top main gen, on that Gallows gen that we just kicked, that Skitter was working. Looks like Chloe gonna cloak up and immediately go back. We're gonna try to catch the rotation of a survivor, and exactly that is what we do. Wicca gonna be spotted here, sending it towards that water tower area, uncloaking right now. We know the survivor is smash hit, so we aren't gonna make any distance, no life to be played. Instead, this is gonna be the down now coming through. M1 on the edge map here. Eruption going to apply and hit both the gens. Wicca going to be picked up here. Do we have any pain reses? That is what we're looking for. Yes, we do. Water tower going to be able to slow down those gens a little bit more. And this could be the very close to the end of the game here, as both survivors are injured. We do see the cloak back up. Both survivors immediately positioning safely. No one wants to get caught out and give a free down here. Blood going to be spotted here of a survivor rotating already to the water tower, though. Away, free, and safe. Unhook. This is possibly going to be a trade coming in. Are we going to be able to get this one in time? Yes, we are. Skitter going down. Pickup immediately going to be and probably put on her own camera. But the ball coming through. Wicca sent it in for the beam save, and it does come through. Champion of Light also applied. That is a huge turn of the game right now to get the game back in Finland's hand.
Wicca with the flashlight out here, really getting these flashlight saves, being able to get that second generator to pop. I was really thinking that Skitter not committing that gen earlier was pretty tragic, and we are going to find Skitter right now, and down Skitter applying that eruption. Um, but what an amazing save by Wicca once again with the flashlight. I think we might have a little flashlight gremlin on our hands.
I think you might be right. That is Wicca's second of the sets. Looks like here trying to catch the rotation. We are going to spot our survivor Nixie rotating over right now. Are we going to be able to deny this unhook in time is the question. We have the uncloak out on for a little bit more speed. It's going to be close. Are we going to get it? No, we are not. Instead, just going to be a trade right now. Nixie going to be immediately picked up. Wicca, no footsteps nearby, no fear. No more beam saves coming in as of now. Looks like, though, Paymer is after going to be used, is going to be trying to find Skitter again, and looks like exactly that is what they do. Wicca less than halfway done with that gen, but Skitter does not last at that pallet. Chloe going to be recloaking up right now and sending it towards that bottom side. Chloe has the read, has the game sense to where Wicca is working. And it looks like Wicca is just hoping that Chloe doesn't check it. Hopes that Chloe looks for the rotation on what maybe been the unhook, but to not. It is instead stuck at the wagon pallet. Wicca and Chloe lock eyes. The two killer players. A beautiful reverse, though, by Wicca, stunning the killer on the other side of the pallet as they swung through. Going to be breaking this one, but Wicca forced away from both of their teammates. Skitter on the ground, Nixie on hook right now. Uncloak going to be committed to. Do we make this hit around? Swinging, going for it. Wicca is going to be able to get the stun right now. Champion Light applied once again. That 20% hinder is now going to be cloaking up once again. Moving so slow to try to catch up, but there's not a lot of good pallets left. Going to be able to make it to one more, though. Not going for the drop in this time. Going to be greeting it, wrapping around. Wicca trying everything they can, throwing every trick in the book right now to try to get a stun here, to try to make it to their teammates, to get someone else up, get a teammate in this situation. But no, Chloe playing so patiently here, Jazz.
Yeah, Chloe's doing a really good job at zoning Wicca the way they need to go in order to not be able to save their teammates. And getting the hit through the pallet! And Deja Vu once again, Cyber, we're seeing that 4K3 come in, making it a 4K4 win con. Beautifully played by Chloe. The constant hook trades, unfortunately, kind of fell into a little bit of a snowball effect, but we're going to see the 4K3 come in. Nixie's about to go join Zal at the campfire. The rest of the team about to go join Zal at the campfire. But beautifully played. Wicca with the flashlight saves and the loops right there in Gallows area. Very well done. Unfortunate hit through the pallet, though, and we all get them sometimes. It sucks, but it is how it is. We're gonna drop, possibly go to take the Mori, the wonderful Wraith. Oh, we might be possibly like getting out.
Yeah. Looks like Chloe might be having some net problems. The hook was about to come through, though, so I'm unsure if the points are still technically going to count, if Chloe has crashed, or if that is just us on the spectator side. We will be getting confirmation. But nonetheless, Jazz, that was such a good game from Chloe. Everything they needed to do that game, they absolutely did. She was on top of it, caught the rotations. I said going into this set is going to come down to free hits. It is going to come down to a lot of injuries. And Chloe just kept catching the survivors and continuing to get these injuries.
Yeah, absolutely. We caught a lot of survivors out of the play, out of where they shouldn't be, and getting those free hits. I mean, that's huge. You need to get these free hits on this set. If you don't, like, it's an all gens popped situation here. And, I mean, very well done by Chloe, catching the survivors off guard, finding them where they're not safe, where they're just going to take a tag and maybe even possibly get a quick down. So very well done by Chloe. And now we're going to see Finland back onto the killer, onto the Wraith. Probably going to be Wicca on the Wraith from my assumption, as we've been seeing Wicca on most of the killers so far today for their team. I'm assuming we're going to see the same add-ons. They're pretty standard add-ons for Wraith. Having Windstorm, Shadow Dance, pretty standard. So we are seeing that they don't want hit tanks to come in as much playing that sloppy butcher, knowing that it's going to take that extra time to get resets off and everyone healthy again. We are going to see that aura of the totem right out in the open. Well, no, we're in a little bit of a bush. We're in a little bit of a bush. However, it's still not the best spawn for Ruin. Kind of still being out in the open, not really hidden just by a bush. We're going to catch our second survivor, hopefully being able to get a quick tag. And water tower pallet gone just like that. One of the best pallets in this map gone. And we are going to get the quick tag onto Isuka. And are we going to leave or are we going to commit?
Looks like we are committing onto this one. Going to be vaulting into that shack window. No bamboozle in play, though, so isn't going to be blocked off. Shack pile is going to be dropped at the same time, though. We see the reset come through onto Laney right now. Gallo going to be able to get that full heal on that survivor, as Wicca's going to commit onto this right now. Pallet going to be dropped right here. Wicca instantly going for the break on this one. We need to be able to cut this off and try to deny to the pallet. We need a fast down right now for Wicca. Is uncloak going to happen? Swinging. Do we connect? Yes, we do. Isuka on the ground right now as we see Gallo instantly get off his gen and probably start rotating over. Painra is going to come through onto Isa's gen here as Gallo wrapping under the bottom side of main building. Just sending it straight for the unhook. No caution from where the Wraith is. Wraith is going to spot the rotation, though. Going to be able to get that one drop of the pallet coming through. Not going to be getting the stun today as Gallo makes it to this corner pallet. No, they do not actually. Body block coming through. Wicca swing connecting onto the back of Gallo. This is going to be another one coming in, and we do not see any rotations coming in as Aiza and Laney are just sticking on those gens, Jazz.
Yeah, they're really trying to focus on getting that gen pressure, getting those gens done. We do hear Lenny get off of main generator with that ruin applied. And we are going to see the interruption onto Aiza's gen as well. Getting the vault through the window. And you got to be careful on this loop here because you can swing over the little fence there and get a hit. So Aiza definitely taking the option to try and loop the other side. However, still taking a hit. We are going to take that hit though and leave and go back to our hook and try to get the tunnel out onto Isuka here. Missing the flashlight, unfortunately, not getting the champion of light value. And I think we are going to see our down come into play and whiff! Ooh. A swing and a miss.
Yeah. Second one though will connect. That is going to be down once again. We are going to see 2 gens and the Hex Totem gone for it though. So definitely an expensive price to pay right there for our killer player Wicca. Is with that, it looks like we're going to go try to pressure the survivor and possibly find who was popping that totem. We see the reset between Gallo and Aiza coming in right now. Wicca looking on the edge map, trying to see did the survivor stay close to where the totem was or did we rotate away? We see the survivor at top main building now. We have the information. Laney full sent it away. Looks like the Wicca isn't going to commit. Sees the reset on Aiza coming through. You cannot 99 these resets as you had the sloppy butcher in play. So you cannot try to deny that information. So Gallo going to be found as Wicca goes searching for it. Over the window they go, but still going to be on the floor nonetheless. Immediately cloaking back up. We are going back, though. We want to try to catch the survivor. Going for the pull onto Isuka. Is going to come through right now. Laney going to be sending it completely away. Are we going to be able to get on Isuka or not is the question, though. We do find Lara, who is still stuck in this Gallows area. This chase needs to last, Jazz, for this game to have pop more gens.
It absolutely needs to last. We are already at our tie condition here with all survivors alive. So this chase needs to end and Isuka needs to go back to the campfire. We have another swing and a miss, unfortunately. Letting Isuka get a little bit more distance, wasting a little bit more time. But we are going to see the down come in and we are going to slug as we're going to find Laney here. Laney taking a hit and going, looks like we're gonna commit to the chase, try and get the second down, come in, maybe be able to get some pain res action in. We are going to need that gen regression right away here due to the fact that we see Gallo on their gen. It's over 50% done. We need that gen to not pop, otherwise Brazil is going to take the set and it's no longer gonna be a tie and Brazil is gonna win. They are sticking to the gen, though, as we can see, but not quite making it. However, Ace is still on it, but we're going to kick it instead. Ace hoping to probably take a hit and then finishing it, but Wicca knows better than to let the hit come in. And we're going to see the hit onto Isaac. We're going to commit this because if we get the down, that is all survivors down, and we could secure the tie here, Cyber.
Yeah, Aiza gonna be going for the pickup. Isn't quite gonna come through as Wicca. Though, technically, it is not over. The other three survivors on the floor are all fresh. If one of them bleeds out, that is still the fresh hook, and Wicca would take this for Finland right now. But if not, and all these survivors are going to be found, the set would be replayed, as this would be a tie and 2-2 scoreline still overall. Aiza going to be picked up, put onto their hook. Gallo and Laney are the survivors we need to find right now. Do we remember where we downed them? The survivors could have crawled, but they haven't been on the floor for that long right now. Laney is definitely the one closer to the bleed out right now. So we'll have to see if we are able to find our injured Claudette. It looks like we are. We hear the grunts of pain on the edge map right now. Laney going to be spotted, going to be picked up. Gallo was committing to that gen towards the top side. That is the survivor we need to find now. That is Wicca's necessity for this trial.
Yeah, we are going to find Laney down on the ground. Now we need to find Gallo. Where did Gallo crawl to? However, Gallo playing Maria is nice, bright, and pink, so it's going to have a hard time blending in, and we do find Gallo. We are going to get the pickup, and we are going to get the tie condition, and we're going to see a replay of this race set. I don't think they're allowed to change any builds or anything, so we should see the same builds. I could be mistaken, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cyber. So we're gonna kind of see a rerun, seeing if we can get this 4K3 again. Constant deja vu. Not talking about the perk here, guys, but we're gonna see. I'm curious.
Yeah, the replay of the set, both killers fighting for everything here. They need to be able to get good results here to give their teams a chance on the survivor right now. You are allowed some small changes here on Ruin, Eruption, and Sloppy Butcher. As breaking those two main doors, we're going to spot a survivor rotating up immediately around the top of main building here. This is going to be Laney, our Claudette, who's going to be sending it around here, but I don't think we quite have anything safe to play. No, we do not. Swinging around the balcony is going to be able to get a hit on the inside main stairs right now. Cloaking back up, survivor's going to vault that, send it to any sort of pallet. What do we make here is the question. Wicca going to go for a body block and does so expertly, cutting off the path of Laney. A very fast down. This is exactly what Wicca needs here, Jazz.
Yeah, this quick fast down is just perfect for Wicca, and we're going to get our first pain res right off the bat. So not only Ruin regressing these gens, but also pain res popping on these gens. We're going to find our next survivor quickly as well. Gallo caught out on the edge map, going to take a tag here. Going to run towards Shack, one of the safer areas to loot, to be able to waste some time, but we're not going to commit. We're going to go straight back to Hook, where we're going to find the survivor who is rotating for the unhook. And because this door is already broken, it's getting an easier hit onto Aiza for Wicca. And now we have two survivors injured and one on the ground. Well, Isaac is getting the first generator, possibly pop, but Pain Res is going to hit it. So we're not going to see a pop just yet. And we might be able to interrupt this gen from popping, Cyber.
Yeah, I don't think we currently want to, though, as we are going to, looks like, commit onto Laney here. Claudette around the water tower, dropping that pallet, but Wicca going to clip the water tower, going for that lunge here. I think they would have been able to hit because they won the 50-50 on which side of the pallet would be dropped here. Looks like they're going to be isolated, stuck here at the back of this building. Laney knows, though, there isn't a whole lot for them to do here. Instead, they're just going to take the security and dying in the corner. We do see, though, the survivor has the detective's hunch right now in place, so going to be calling out those totem locations to their teammates because Ruin is still up, if I'm not mistaken. Looks like, though, Gallows, Isuka going to be on that gen. We do get the resent onto Aiza. I think Gallows the one that got that heal done. So a bit of a recovery right now as Wicca checking out the totem coming into this next chase.
Yeah, we see their totem is right there in check. A decent spawn for it because you can't really super play around it as much. We're gonna interrupt our Gallows generator, find the Lara. Isaac being sought out, gonna get tagged, probably run into the Gallows area, but Wicca is not going to commit, going to try and interrupt more generators, see if anyone is going for the save onto Laney here. Interrupting possibly main generator as well. Gallo possibly our main generator, who is injured. We do find Gallo. We are going to get the chase onto Gallo here, possibly with a quick down. We need impeccable pathing from Gallo to not get down here, as most of the doors are kicked in main, but we're going to decide to leave instead and go back for a linear tunnel out here and get one out of the game, back to the campfire, force that 3v1 at 4 generators, and be able to get this game moving.
Yeah, these killer players. Getting survivors out at 4 gens remaining has been such a consistent factor in every trial. It's not even like one team. It's not been a stomp, one killer just outplaying the other. No, both killers have been able to get rid of that first survivor so fast. He's going to be able to get a second gen pop at the same time, though. Isuka going to be going down. Looks like pickup is going to come through. I think we have a pain res right behind us, if I'm not mistaken, so going to be able to slow down Gallo or Ayaza's gen right now a little bit. It is going to be Gallo's top main that eats the pain res charge, as Ayaza looking to get closer, wanting to send it, and is going to start running across that mid-map right now. Gallo pre-leaving, jumping off the top of main building. Doesn't look like Wicca wants to kick that. We already had the regression from our Ruin. So is going to go try to cut off from this pallet and do so expertly. Going to send it through the pallet. Are we going to be able to get that? No, we are not. Stun comes through, but so does the hit. As Gallo on the ground, unhook on Isuka comes through across the map as well. As Wicca is going to take, I think, our last pain res on these gens.
Yeah, Wicca has some really good pressure right now, Cyber. We have Isuka, who is injured, stealthing, can't really work a gen. Gallo's on hook, and then we have Isa, who's just stealthing, maybe, hopefully going to be able to get on her generator at some point, but it's either we have the injured survivor going for pull, or we have the healthy survivor who's going to end up probably getting a tag. Wicca is not going to let this pull come through easily, I can tell you that much right now. We want to try and get a quick tunnel out. We can see Isa's kind of stealthing, trying to go in for the pull, but we do find Isa injured working the generator at Water Tower. We're going to get that down, and we're going to take the pick to be able to get another hook stage in and probably go back to our unhook, hopefully interrupting the reset if they are deciding to reset, which they are not. Isa is just stealthing immediately away. Gallo back to main to hopefully get onto that main generator. However, with no balanced landing, it's not a quick getaway like you would like.
Yeah. This whole time, though, as well, huge difference compared to the last 2 trials. We have Ruin still up in this 3v1, and I don't know if our survivors know about its location. They might know about it being Shack, but that is still so risky. It is a central totem on the map, so Wicca has the time to go check it every couple seconds. Looks like Ayaza gonna end up sending it right now. Gallo holding safe atop main building, trying to wait, make sure they don't get caught out by Wraith. Has the vault to be able to use it any second they so choose, and they are gonna be able to make it in time before Wicca gets the body block on the window. Uncloaking here, playing that bottom front main window. Is Wicca sending it around? Yes, they do. Gallo gonna go for the fast vault and isn't gonna make it through. This high ping matchup, Wraith sending that lunge, connecting onto Gallo over the window, is gonna be another down. It looks like a little bit of switch in pace right now, as we kept seeing the unhook coming through onto Isuka and Gallo, but now it is Ayaza who is going to start in the gens, and maybe Isuka who's going to try to play for that unhook.
Yeah, I would see Ayaza immediately pre-stealthing off of that generator, and Isuka trying to work that generator, but is going to have to leave knowing that they're injured and they don't have Water Tower pallet there to be able to make a safe loop. We do find Isuka out here. I thought we were going to try and play the 50 on the pallet, but Wicca just immediately breaking it, which is a very smart play. Zoning Isuka deeper into the map, farther away from the unhook, farther away from the generators. That is exactly what you want to see. Trying to use that Champion of Light maybe to get around the pallet one more time. But I think we are going to see the down come in very quickly. Nice mind game from Wicca. And Isuka is going to go join Laney at the campfire.
Yeah, though you do last long enough for the races to come through, Gallo is going to be healthy. Both survivors healthy, back on their feet. This 2v1 is going to be crucial. This is basically a game now where survivors need to play so safe and so slow. They do not give any injury. You need to buy as much time to work these gens as possible. Maybe even get the Ruin out before survivor gets found. Though Gallo sitting on that back main pallet, we are looking, where is the Wraith? The Wraith does find us back here. Gallo in that last chase possibly, as Wicca's going to break that pallet and immediately turn around. We are going to check our gens. We are trying to find Ace, and it looks like that we do. Working this gen right now, we saw rotating through. I don't know if Wicca noticed it, but Ace wrapped to the back of that building next to the gen that they were working that just started regressing. So Isaac going to be able to make it a little bit more distances. Wicca didn't quite spot that out. Now Gallo probably starting a top main building. Yes, it is. Gallo has been up main every time this game that we've spotted them. Looks like gonna break the back door, trying to maybe cut them off, mind game them around this main building to get a free tag before we get any distance away.
Unfortunately, we're not lucky to get that free tag as Gallo is already going towards the gallows. And we see Aeza's on the totem. We might be on that ruin, getting that ruin out of the game. And there it goes. Ruin is gone, finally not eating away at these generators. Maybe we can finally see some gen progress, but we're in the 2v1. It's going to take a very long, strong chase to be able to get a generator done. And, I mean, it's exactly what we need. Aeza's going to need to last here, bait the break, get the full uncloak so we don't have a quick break onto the pallet, luckily. However, Aeza is going to be left in the dust. Wicca deciding to leave Aeza, trying to go find which generator Gallo might be working on, which we do indeed find. Getting the regression already onto it. We're going to see Gallo here about to be in chase. With pallets going down, pre-dropping, and getting that quick break with the Shadow Dance. We are going to see a tag come in. Gallo needs to make this chase last, Cyber.
Yeah, this is going to be huge here. Gallo is Death Hook as well, so Aeza going to be healthy still. Looks like, though, we are going to leave. Gallo immediately just sitting on the gen that they're next to. Doesn't want to spend the time rotating away right now. Knows the killer probably is going to kick the gen that Aeza is working and maybe just commit to this chase. Aeza vaulting into the bottom of main building right now. Going to end up sending it up the stairs because the killer decided to kick the gen. Now making some distance, wrapping around that inside balcony. Are we going to commit onto this, though? What is Wicca trying to do? As it looks like we are going to instead just go try to find Gallo. We do have Eruption on that gen now. Since the Ruin was cleansed, Eruption is in play now. Have that 10% regression on the explosion of the gen once the down comes through. Pallet break zone going to happen. As it looks like we're just cycling around these lockers. Probably going to hop in them once our time has come, and it has.
Trying to do a corner tech, maybe just to be lucky to sneak around one more time. But we have the aura onto Aeza, knowing that they're on main generator from the eruption. And once again, this is looking like it's going to be a 4K3. Aeza not realizing that the Wraith is right behind them at main building. And we're now in chase with the final survivor left. And, I mean, very well played by Wicca once again. Knowing to catch these rotations, knowing which generators to go to. Very good game sense. We're swinging at the little wagon there. But we're still going to stick on. Aeza should be getting the down quite quickly. Beautiful mind game. And yeah, we're going to see the 4K3 come in once again. And that means Chloe's going to have to get the 4K4 to take it for Brazil.
Yeah, this will be the third 4K3 of the Wraith sets right now. The tie was a 4K3. This is a 4K3. If Chloe gets another 4K3, we're taking another lap. We're running it back. One of these teams eventually will not 4K3. But Gallo going to be the final server left. Getting the Wraith Mori on the ground. Hit in the back. As, yeah, I wonder how many games we'll see. I'm interested to see. Wicca did not change up the build. I wonder if Chloe will follow suit, as she definitely got value out of her build. But Ruin definitely feels a little bit more explosive, I'd say.
Yeah, I think putting in Ruin is definitely the choice. Getting that extra pressure. To put that Ruin and get that extra pressure. Getting stuck a little bit on the stairway. But we do find our first survivor, Wicca, running out into the open. But Chloe deciding not to chase her at all. Trying to see if we can find another survivor around the back of main. But it doesn't look like it. Possibly going back to go find Wicca. See what gen they started, interrupt it, and get the first chase going, and maybe get the first pain res going. We do see that Wicca has started the gen way in the back, not fully getting the uncloak, so being able to break that pallet with Shadow Dance, but Wicca doing a really good job at blocking the Wraith from being able to block the pallet. But we do see the hit come in, and we're going to take it towards Shaq. And Chloe's gonna decide to not stick this, Cyber.
Yeah, instead splitting off, wanting to play hit and run early on. Yeah, with the result needed, you can't really afford to take one long chase in this game, or else you're just going to lose those gens. As instead trying to maximize Sloppy Butcher value, we have Skitter here playing around the front main drop pallet. Wrapping this, we do have Finesse here, so we have that vault when we want it here. It looks like we're not going to, though. Instead, it's splitting off to the other pallet outside the main on the front main here. Dropping that, going to the front main window here. We have the Finesse. Is it going to be enough to make it up this window without a tag? No, it is not. Injury on the Skitter coming through here. We see Zal halfway on her gen. Nixie about a third of the way on hers as we go up main to try to look for whoever survivor this is. And I think this might be Zal, but we do not care here, Jazz, going back for our injured survivor.
Yeah, we want to try and get her down, get the regression going on, the eruption applied to the gens that are currently being worked, and try and get this first down onto Skitter or onto Wicca to get that eruption procced, and also to get our first pain res onto these generators. We need to get it down fast here, like absolutely right away. A good swing through the hole just to create less dagger for the killer. As going through, we get the first down onto Skitter. But do we have a pain res near? We had eruption proc, but do we have a pain res? And we don't. They're all across the map, Cyber.
Yeah, this is not what you want to see if you're Chloe. This corner is a absolute dead zone of pain reses, so Zal and Nixie can have all the confidence in the world. Now, the survivors know the call is going to be made. Die in that corner. Wicca, Nixie popping, tie condition already met. Zal is coming close to committing, and I don't even think Chloe's going to make it here. Sticking the gen, we know top main is what Zal's on. We spot them. The gen is cranking, but Zal committing, getting the gen done, and that is Finland closing out this best of 5.
Yeah, very well played by Finland. You know, Brazil really came to play, and so did Finland, and both teams have done an amazing job. We are going to get the tag across the pallet there. The game's still not over. The win con might have been met, but we still got some awesome plays coming in from these two teams. Wicca did a very good job on Wraith, and so, I mean, Chloe has as well. And we're going to see a little mind game try and be played in front main pallet, but we're going to see Nixie is going to win it, but I think we're going to see the down come on in now at the back of main.
Yeah, Ada going onto the floor. Every survivor injured. Wouldn't surprise me. We might see the survivors just be cranking gens here as we didn't see any resets come through. Yeah, especially now, identifying that the death on the top side of the map, there is still not really any pain rests you can make it to. So that'll be Nixie just hooked on a normal hook around here. We see Gallows has a lot of progress. We see the double here on this gen in the Gallows area. Is Zal going to be playing 50-50s with the Wraith a little bit, but it doesn't matter. We go back to the Gallows gen and we already have it popped. Chloe is not going to make it in time. Skitter going to be the survivor we choose to commit to between her and Wicca around this pallet. Not going to end up cloaking back up instead. Just going to choose to play uncloaked. Maybe get Bloodlust one or a mind game coming through, but it will not be. Now going to be cloaking up, running towards that edge map. Wrapping around this, we do hop into the locker right now. Every survivor is still injured as the unhook does come through. We'll see if they choose to reset under that hook or not.
I don't think they're going to reset, Cyber. I think they're going to take the pressure and go to a generator. And get that last gen done and maybe get some outs within the match. I mean, Finland did so good on the survivor side on this. They really put the pressure where they needed. That first chase was just what they needed. Not being able to get that first down so quick for Chloe, and playing the pallet, and Wicca winning that pallet stun and being able to get away to distance herself from Chloe here. We're gonna go interrupter generator as we saw scratch marks towards the gen here up on the top side of the map. We're gonna find Zal, possibly get the down on Zal, but I think Zal might make the window there. I'm not too sure if Chloe would have swung if they would have hit it, but because it is such high ping, we do get the down onto Zal. I mean, we already know there's no pain res around here, so they're just gonna be on a regular old hook. Chloe really not getting value out of pain res in this game.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's the double-edged sword. Pain res, almost everyone in the community would agree, pain res is one of the strongest killer perks out there. It is regression without you even having to do anything. You don't have to go anything. You just have to hook on the special glowing hooks. But the downside is there's only 4 of them in a trial, and you don't control where they spawn. So wasn't able to get any good hook positions this game for them. As we spot what our survivors are doing, we spot our Laro. I think we hear our Claudette up above working on this gen. Going to be kicking now, applying our eruption. No pop as it was already used. We instead are going to switch back onto our Lara here, who is wrapping, I think, back to the gen, but maybe a bit of miscommunication here as she was running a little bit too close to the killer. Skitter going to be wrapping around this building. I think, though, going to be dying in the corner of this tiny little hut, as that'll be Skitter onto the ground and going back to the campfire for the final time in this matchup. As we see our survivors, I think, doubling up possibly on that gen, and also Wicca pressuring from the gallows, blinding the eyes of the killer just to apply that champion of light and slow down the Wraith a little bit.
Yeah, the Wraith is going to instantly go into Cloak, though, so gaining a little bit of speed, not as much as normal. We're going to go interrupt this generator here, right where Nixie is, stealthing around, so we should be able to find Nixie out. Oh, no, we find Zhao, right, and we find Nixie both of them over here in this corner. But we're going to get the down onto Zell with the eruption popping onto that gen. And I think we're going to slug, knowing that Nixie was over here just as much. Trying to stop the generator popping at Gallows now. Going to try and get the down onto Wicca. But they popped the last generator. And we're going to see the down come in. And, I mean, we got all 5 gens done, Cyber. That's the first time in this whole entire matchup we've seen them all done.
Yeah, this might be the first match. It is the final trial of this match that we might see a survivor get out the exit gate, but not to be. Nixie going to be spotted at the exit gate, dropping the firecracker at the feet, blinding herself a little bit, but like I said, the win con was met earlier. These survivors were just playing the pop the gens and get out, as I think we had Zal at the feet there. We walked over top of her. Yeah, crawling to the Wraith's arms. Doesn't want to play the slug out game. Knows that the game's over. There's no need to draw it out by trying to bleed out in a corner, especially because Zal has already had that first hook on, so fresh hook has been gained. To bleed out still does get remaining hook stages. Wicca, the last survivor left, which I imagine we're going to go back to where we downed her, I think at the bottom of Gallows, if I'm not mistaken, as listening for the grunts of pain, listening for the injured Claudette sounds. As no, Wicca, I don't think moved. I think the down happened and Wicca just sat right there knowing that the killer was never going to come back to them. As I think we might wait out for this Mori here, Jazz.
Yeah, I think so as well. No, we're going to opt to just take the hook, which is right there. Nice and quick, get it fast and over with. Well played by both teams. Very well played. And unfortunately, we didn't get our final Wraith Mori, but the fact that the last game of this set, we saw all 5 gens done after constant 4K3s, that's amazing to see and very well played by the Finland serfs.
Yeah, absolutely here. But with that being said, this is coming to a close. We have another game right after this, so stay tuned. That'll be my last cast of the day, but if I'm not mistaken, I think, Jazz, you are casting that one as well.
I am, yes. So you're still going to hear me casting Team USA versus Team Germany coming up next.